Be careful.
And Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end when we do the podcast, so
that's all right.
Feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
Fuck it. I don't need it.
Welcome to the Acement. And behind the funny, I am Ace Aceto.
And I'm Scott Higgins, and welcome to the Clusterfuck Podcast.
No, we're transitioning between guests. We had a guest earlier for a special announcement.
Yes, a huge announcement that we're so excited
episode, but we are back and we are transitioning with our new guest. And but in the meantime, let's all right, go easy.
I am. I'm just
freshening.
Just freshening because we are drinking a local whiskey tonight.
Yes.
We've had a lot of our favorites on. Justin Morales, who was on a couple of weeks back.
Yep.
We've been drinking his bourbon, his old fashioned, if you will. The last couple of weeks, but this time we have a whiskey from Sons of Liberty Spirits Company right here in Rhode Island, Wakefield, Rhode Island.
Yep,
this is their Battle Cry. It's an American single malt whiskey. And it's actually really, really tasty.
Yeah.
They have a few different kinds of whiskey. They do a bourbon. They do different flavors. Sons of Liberty is their website. So, I believe it's solspirits.com is their website. Check them out. They got some great stuff. So, we're enjoying it tonight. We also have our old friend Angel's Envy. I didn't know if our guest wanted to try that because him and I had a conversation about bourbon last time and I mentioned that one. So I brought it down for him to try.
Did you want ice?
No,
he
very forcefully told me no ice. When I said, "Do you want some? I'll put some ice in the glass." He said, "No."
Perfect. Neat.
No,
like the documentary on bourbons.
Yes,
that's what it's called. Neat.
Yes,
very good documentary. Just watched it again for the second time.
So that's what we're drinking tonight.
Clinkies, cheers to Sons of Liberty and to Angel's Envy. And to our guest tonight, Mr. Corey G, who has been more than patient with us because he was actually scheduled back in the beginning of December.
But somebody had to go
get asshole
COVID.
Got COVID. Yeah. So it was me.
If you go back and listen to the Ace's Voiceless episodes that we did 4 weeks in a row.
8 weeks. Yeah, I know. The only thing that actually got my voice back was getting COVID.
It was
because it forced me to not talk.
Right. It was so weird that you went so many weeks in a row.
We did no voice.
We did a couple of shows where you had no voice.
In fact,
the
show we were on with our guest.
Can I talk? Could you guys officially introduce me?
We haven't officially. So let's officially introduce.
Yes, go ahead. Let's jump into it.
Corey G. But yes, Corey G, very funny comic. And the last time I saw you was that night, and I had no voice.
Right. And you kept telling everybody that you met, I don't have COVID. I'm fine. I don't have COVID.
Yeah.
I listen to every
4
episode.
Weeks later,
I listen to every episode in preparation for this fucking interview, right? I could swear, right? I'm good.
Oh, yeah,
all right.
Sure.
Every fucking episode in preparation. And for 6 weeks, he was the covidest sounding motherfucker I ever heard in my life. And he's swearing, I don't have COVID. I don't have COVID. I don't have COVID. And then he texts me, I got COVID.
I know.
Exactly.
I know. Just tighten it up on the other. Hold on.
Hold on, wait, technical. I'm good. I got it.
You got it?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, the covidest sounding motherfucker I ever heard. And he's like, no, I'm good. I don't have COVID. I
seriously didn't.
Every show, every time I talk to him.
I didn't have it at that time. Then I got it. And the problem was I talk during the day.
Yeah.
I talk at night. I do shows. I do the podcast.
Yeah.
I got 3 kids. I got to fucking talk to them. So
You got
I
3
couldn't
kids.
talk.
That should be the quietest part of
Exactly.
your life. Like, how do you get a word in
So
edgewise?
I couldn't talk at all, or I couldn't stop talking because of jobs and everything else. Once I got COVID, 4 days, I didn't say a word,
Right.
and all I did was drank lemon tea, and then my voice came back.
There you go. There you
So,
go.
Thank you,
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah. So I've been waiting and waiting and waiting.
I know, and
we sat there and sold him on the fact, come down, drink some nice bourbon.
and then he's like,
We'll shoot the shit for a while. It's a good time. And then all of a sudden,
I got sick.
old COVID lungs over here fucks it up for
Corey, and
everybody.
Corey was probably like, well, does he have to be there? And Scott's like, well, it's in his house. So,
Yeah.
you know.
He's messaging me. Can we just meet in a bar somewhere?
right.
And
It's
just
not
not that big of a deal.
So we are long overdue. Here it is, the 2nd of March, and we were supposed to have him on December 1st.
Fucking trees are
3 months.
blooming.
I know.
Yeah, and the
I
best
know.
part is, right, I've been looking so forward to this because it's not often that you get to talk shop with comics and sit in a room with
And
comics.
that's what this whole thing is about.
And
right?
never mind that, it's not often that I'm the youngest comic in the room when that happens anymore. You
Yeah.
guys are fucking lovely.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm like, yes,
I thought
I'm
he
the
was
young
going
guy.
to say. I thought he was going to say you guys are fucking old, but lovely. I'll take that.
No, I'm saying you're old. It's lovely.
It's a weird transition when that happens, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, do you remember being the
go
young
from-
guy
Yes.
in the room?
Yes.
Here's the scary thing. I
we
went
talk
from
about
being
that all the time.
I went from being the fresh face of comedy,
Yeah.
and I was the fresh face for 20 fucking years.
You
And then
still
all of
kind of
a-
are.
But then
the
all
fresh
of a
face
sudden,
hasn't changed
No.
at all.
But
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I went from the fresh face to veteran of comedy stages. I'm like, literally 6 months ago, you were introducing me as a fresh
Right.
face.
No, it's-
now I'm a veteran.
It's when a young comic comes up to you and go, hey, you've been around for a while. Can I ask you a question? And you're like, what? I'm the guy they ask a question to now?
Yeah, right.
No.
I'm the guy fucking John Parada wouldn't put on a stage because like I was too wild. He never knew what was going to happen. He was scared. Parada was scared to
Scared
book
of you.
me.
Seriously? Right.
Yeah. And now I'm like the old guy sitting up on the stage.
It
and people are
happens,
like,
right?
so what do you think I should do when I do this bit? And I'm like, I don't know, Parada. You think I should give him advice?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now, when did you start comedy? How many
How
years ago?
So I've been doing comedy for like 18 years.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
around what, 2004?
Yeah, so I got married in 04 and I had, I mean, it depends on what you say when you say started comedy, right?
What-
like
like
I went on and then it'd be fucking months before I went back on stage.
Right.
What was so like? There's two parts to this question. Then, when was the very first time you tried it, and when did you kind of start doing it on a more regular?
All right,
basis?
so
Yeah.
it's definitely the
04
first time
was
I
the
tried
first
it was
time?
no, probably 02.
Okay.
And then I started doing it a little more consistently, but I would say it probably wasn't until 06 maybe. You guys could help. When was
Yeah.
Stitches?
Yeah, that was right
that
around
was
then.
around 06.
Yeah,
07.
so
Yeah.
that was when I was regularly sort of bouncing
Oh, no
between
way.
as much as you could between Stitches and the
And the
connection
connection.
because you couldn't do both.
Right. Yeah. That
Yeah,
whole
you had to
bullshit.
fly under
All
the
that-
radar
yeah,
between the
yeah,
two.
yeah. So like I was around.
Unless
for
you're Johnny
all of that.
Joyce.
Yeah, that's my favorite
Right?
story. You know what he did, right?
No, what did he do?
Oh my God, Johnny Joyce! I still love him for doing this to
I
this
gotta
day.
get him on the podcast.
He
to
wa-
talk about
he
it, too.
he was featuring
Okay.
at the Connection and starting to headline in some places, and then he started working over at Stitches, and he was told, you can't work both.
Both. Yep.
So he has his weekend at the Connection, and then he gets Dana to book him at Stitches, but he tells her, listen, I got a new stage name.
Oh.
now." So he has her book him as Bob Shumway. It was in the Journal. It was in the Phoenix.
I love it.
This weekend is Jackie Flynn, Bob Shumway, and Calverducci.
Wow.
And it was so funny because there's Johnny's picture with the name Bob Shumway.
It's Rhode Island. Nobody will notice.
no one will notice.
Yeah,
And-
he
and
can get
he
away
got
with it.
away with it for a year.
Holy
He did
shit.
3 weekends as Bob Shumway
Yeah.
at Stitches, and we were
Hilarious.
dying laughing.
And Dana had no idea.
And he kept doing.
No, Dana knew it. See that rule.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
That
like,
rule wasn't Dana's. So
oh,
that was
Dana.
Bill Blumenreich.
Yeah, Dana was the Dana, what are you, Bert Kreischer?
He's gonna be shirtless.
He's shirtless over there.
The machine.
No, Dana had been the manager of the Connection for like 18 years.
Yep, I remember that.
And then left and went to Stitches and started booking people at Stitches. Well, Bill, the owner of the Comedy Connection, was the one that came up with the rule that you couldn't work both.
Because those two had some sort of
because they didn't leave. She didn't leave on good terms.
right.
You know, it wasn't.
She was another one who didn't fucking like me.
Really?
At all. Dana would not book me for.
I can see that because Dana, if she liked you, she loved you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if she didn't like you, she hated you.
Yeah. And it was like
no in
weird.
between
There
with
was-
Dana.
Like you really had to, like if you were a new comic, you really had to walk on eggshells
Yeah.
with her.
You had to stick to your time,
Right.
and be funny. That was her big thing.
She had some
But-
kind of rule about like, I don't know what, like polite or something.
She also didn't like new comics that swore too much.
Yeah.
She didn't like that.
That
Really
fucked
eliminate
you.
me.
No, first time I
You
ever
see how
worked
I
with you.
matured, Ace? I said eliminated.
You
You,
have.
said fucked. I rub
I'm
off
not
on
mature.
people.
First time I worked with you was at a Parada gig.
Yeah.
It was at one of those Ramada Inn comedy thons
At the
where it's
Seekonk
like
Ramada Inn.
where it's like 400 comics.
Where did you go on 24th in the middle?
This was before he started putting people on in the middle. And I remember you going on, you're wearing a basketball jersey. And all of a sudden, I just see him standing on a chair, screaming his lungs out with this high pitched voice. I'm like, what is this fucking guy doing?
Yeah.
But, you know, you had the audience. You definitely had the audience, but it was before. This was, again, you were going on at 1:45, and I was going on at midnight. And Parada's like, Ace, make sure you do your time. I told him the headliner would do 45 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to go home at 1 o'clock in the morning. These fucking people have been sitting here since 6 p.m. for
If
a
you
fucking
did
dinner
45
show.
minutes, I would start throwing shit
Yeah,
at you. Are
exactly.
you kidding me? It's midnight.
But back in
That
those
was
days,
Parada.
Yeah, I remember it was
Dude,
fucking atrocious.
he hired me to host one of those shows. And 2 hours in, I went up to him and go, I have no material left.
Yeah, there's nothing left. Yeah.
I got nothing left.
I love it now. He's tagging out hosts. I'm like, you know, your show's too long, Johnny P.
Yeah.
You got to tag the host out.
Yeah,
Like, we got to hydrate the guy. He's
yeah.
got to go.
We got one host. We got one host for the first half of the show and another host for the second
Yeah,
half.
the first guy's cramping
It's like-
up,
yeah,
so we got to
yeah.
get him massaged.
He's like
the backup
I'll throw
quarterback.
you an extra $25 so you don't have to do any more time. Just introduce the acts.
just keep it rolling.
It's like 3 hours later.
He's
side
gotten better.
side story.
Yes.
One of my funniest moments was at the Seekonk Ramada Inn. I had done a few of them, and I'm there one night, and I'm with, you mentioned Eddie Galvin.
Yep.
Eddie could
suck.
he could make me laugh as hard as anybody
Right.
at times. And we're sitting there, and there was a new guy there, and the guy's up on stage, and the guy's not doing well, and the guy's using like puppets and some other things. And Eddie comes up, he leans right up against me, and he goes, "Oh, I hate prop comics. They totally diminish our art form, don't they?" And he just walks away. And I'm just laughing,
Right,
right. Because he just did it so dry. And then he goes up there a few minutes later, I'm
all
having
his
a
props.
few motherfuckers.
Yeah, now there's two things I'd say about that, right? Parada shows are forever long
Yep.
because he's the sweetest guy.
He can't
in
say
comedy.
no. He
He
cannot
can't say
say
no.
no.
He can't
Right.
say no to anybody.
Yeah. Can't
Like
say no.
I'll say to him, "Hey, Johnny P, you got a spot for me?" "Oh, brother, of course I got a spot for you."
Yeah, he
Yep.
can't say no.
It's
Right.
17th out of 37,
Yeah.
but I got a spot.
I
for
got
you.
you
know
a
what I
sweet
mean?
spot, brother.
So he can never. He wants to give anybody and everybody stage time.
Yep.
Right. We all have stories about Parada getting us stage time.
Yep.
So that's
Yeah.
why his shows are so long. Right. Second, Eddie gave me the best advice at that fucking Ramada Inn, sitting in that hallway on that shitty, dirty carpet. Right.
Yep.
It's like 10:30 and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. No, it wasn't that late because Eddie was up.
Yep.
And whenever Eddie went up, he was third.
Yeah.
Everybody knew Ramada Inn,
He always
Eddie's
got the
third.
sweet spot.
Yeah, it doesn't
Right.
matter when he walks in, what's going on. Eddie walks in, he's third. So I was third. Eddie walks in and he bumps me. And I'm still standing on chairs,
Yeah.
yelling and like still trying to figure shit
Figure
out.
your voice out.
Yeah,
right.
trying to find my voice, right? And so I see Eddie, and now if you ever saw Eddie back in those days, He would do 20 minutes. He would crush. And after he got off stage, half of the audience would get up.
Yeah.
Because he did so much crowd work that nobody wanted to move.
Right.
So when he was done,
They
it was
all went
like
to the
a
bathroom.
green light to the bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm going to fucking get up there. I have 10 minutes and 7 of them, people are going to be in the bathroom. This sucks. And I'm like fuming in the hallway, pissed off. Eddie's like, what's the matter? So I tell him what's wrong. And he's like, brother. No, not brother. What did he say? He's like, you're the only guy that can follow me. You'll be fine.
Right.
Just do what you have to do. And you have enough energy. You can follow me.
Right.
Stop
right.
worrying about it. From Eddie Galvin. And I was like, he's fucking right. I'm going to just do
Be
this.
me.
Yup.
Yeah.
And I did. And nobody moved.
Yeah.
It was like that was where it kind
needed-
of clicked.
Yeah.
You needed that boost of confidence to get in your head
That
because you were in your
validation.
head.
Yeah.
You were in your head second guessing
Yep.
whether or not you'd be able to do it. But by having him who you respected and you knew crushed
Yep.
tell you that, your confidence flipped the switch.
Because listen, Eddie isn't the nicest guy
No,
in the
no,
world, right?
no.
He's not-
Usually Eddie's
He doesn't
pulling
pass
you
out
aside.
compliments
No,
all the
no,
time.
no.
Eddie's usually pulling
No.
you aside going, hey, tell funny jokes this
Yeah,
time. You know? Like,
You
just
might
to
wanna
fuck with
tell-
your head.
Yeah,
Hey.
absolutely.
Ace, when you get up there this time, tell funny jokes.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Hey, try something new this time and don't suck.
Don't
Yeah,
suck,
don't
right?
suck.
That's Eddie.
Don't
I
So
know.
like he doesn't hand out compliments. So to hear
No.
that from him, from me, was like this switch that turned on. That it was like, okay, wait, I'm in a different class and I need
Yeah.
to start to behave that way.
exactly.
So
yeah.
that was really kind of the switch for me from like that guy, that kid everybody was scared of,
Yep.
to now where it's just kind of
You felt more like a comic at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Now, when was your first time on stage? Do you remember the very first time you really tried to?
AS220. AS220.
Oh, yeah, I
was the
remember
first
AS220.
time.
wow,
AS220, and I did a fucking trip take. You want to talk about those moments that you hope you never know? Thank God there were no cell phones.
Yeah.
That was my bit. That was my opening bit. Was a trip take.
Tripping onto the stage.
Yeah.
All right.
He still has
I'm
the
gonna-
douche
wait,
chills now.
wait. I'm going to share something with you.
Okay.
My very first time on stage.
Yeah.
Trip take.
Nice.
I told you this. I had no material.
No material.
I did impressions.
Okay.
And
So you still
this
have
is
no
how
material.
old I am. Yeah. This is how old I am. All right, get him a fucking ice cube because he's getting mean with his neat drinks. No. I did impressions of Dudley Moore as Arthur. Do
Okay.
you remember the movie
Yeah,
Arthur?
of course. Yeah, well, not
All
of
right.
course. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
because
close.
you're younger than me.
84th, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was 7.
But all right, but you were old enough to
Fucking
watch
A.
the movie because there was no nudity.
You could
But-
stream it nowadays.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
But there was a scene in the beginning of the movie where he falls out of his car
Yes.
and he goes, he's saying to his chauffeur, Bitterman, I fell out of the car. That's the funniest thing. That was my entrance onto the stage. I fell on the stage and I go, I just fell onto the stage. Isn't that the funniest thing? And the audience laughed.
Oh,
but
wow.
that was
good for you. Mine didn't get a laugh.
no.
That
Well,
was-
did you mean to trip take?
Absolutely. I thought that was a
Oh,
good
See, you needed
play.
to add the impression, so don't shit on the
Yeah,
impression.
I guess so. I
All
guess.
right.
Yeah.
I did a thing when I first started where I'd pretend to be reading my notes and drop them.
Yeah.
And when I reached down to pick them up and stood up, I'd hit my head on the microphone.
Oh,
make the big
yes.
thud sound.
Yeah.
And then collapse to the floor.
Oh.
And did it go
Yeah.
over well?
No.
No,
No,
you
no.
dropped that
Yeah.
from the set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
Well, I
imagine.
close with it now.
No. Speaking of Eddie Galvin, you know what he used to do? He would bring a legal pad up.
Yes.
Oh, and he would tell a joke, and if it
Used to?
bombed, does he still do it?
I was gonna say, what do you mean?
Does he still do it? If a joke bombed, he'd go, hold on a minute, and then he'd
Scratch it
cross it
off.
out on a thing. Yeah.
He'd pick up the blank page and just
Yeah,
scroll.
exactly. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, you talk about not having material. How about the fact that I had material? Like the bit I wrote out was like 7 pages long.
A bit.
Because it was
A bit.
big
A
long
bit.
story.
A bit.
Yeah.
A bit. It was like 7 pages long. Not realizing at the time that like if the joke is that long,
You better
The
have some laugh
payoff
spots in the
has
middle.
to- and the payoff has to be
Huge.
gigantic.
Yeah.
Like you are building this
Humongous.
up. you better crush it at the end.
Right.
And sitting on the toilet with a potty putter, just there was no way to crush that bit. You know what I mean? Like that
There's
wasn't
no
going
payoff
anywhere.
at the
Yeah,
end
that's
of
not
that.
going anywhere.
Payoff.
Not a 7-page
Unless
bit.
you got a hole in one at the end.
Yeah.
You're not
Even
getting
that's
it.
not saving
No,
that
Yeah.
well.
no.
True.
Yeah.
But we think
So-
when we come up with that idea that this is it.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
the one.
I maybe back then.
Back then.
Not now. Like now, as I write, I'm like, oh, this.
Do you have
But
any
you know what?
recordings of when you performed back when you first started?
No.
You don't?
No.
Because I have
No.
my very first time on stage ever on videotape,
Wow.
and I watch it every once in a while.
Yeah.
Why?
To
I
remind
have-
myself that I'm still shit. No, I do, because you want to see, okay,
growth.
how far have I truly come? Because February this year was 20 years for me.
Okay.
And I watched it last month to see, like, how far have I really gone? I'm like, wow, I'm still doing that joke. No,
Yeah, but
no, but I'm like,
you've tweaked that joke, because there's old jokes that I look
Right,
at
right.
and I'm like, oh my god,
but
that joke has evolved so much,
right.
and is a good joke. I made it into a good joke,
But
but it
it's-
wasn't good then.
But it's funny because I watched that and I'm like, I know what I was thinking, but I didn't know how to word it and flesh it out back then.
Right.
But I could take those things now and pull something out of them.
Right.
much quicker
Right.
than
Because
that,
I
than that
know,
process.
because I know
Yeah.
I have a process now for making that into a joke. Whereas back then, I didn't know how to do
You
it.
didn't know how to. You basically, when you first start, you have a funny premise, and you just kind of throw the premise out there.
It's
You don't
mostly
know how
premises.
to build a
Yeah,
joke.
yeah,
right.
Right. Yeah. I have people ask me all the time. They're like, "Oh, well, how do you write a joke?" And I'm like, I actually don't write a joke.
It's trial
It's-
and error.
it's
you
also
just keep
different for
trying it,
everybody.
right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like for
It's different
me,
for everybody.
I like just to go up with the premise. Like this idea is funny, and I love the.
Exactly.
I love the. There's no safety net. Like I'm on stage and I have to make it funny.
You
at
gotta
this
try
point.
something.
Right.
Right.
I don't know where I'm going.
So
with this.
you don't write fully formed off stage. You do it on stage. That's
Yeah,
all right.
for the most part, there are times, and that's what I was saying. Like, I used to write out a bit, or I would come up with a bit, and I'm like, and then there are times where I have a bit immediately, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit right there.
Right.
I don't have to do anything to it.
You
All
know
I
it's
have-
going to work.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know immediate. But then there
Yeah.
are the ones that you write, and you're like, fuck, I can't figure this out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so then I just say, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it on stage,
Yeah. Yep.
and you got to
And you
figure it
try
out.
it. Yeah.
Your
And
pants are on
sometimes
fire.
It nosedives.
Yep.
I've had a premise for a joke that I have done. You saw me do it one time, and it just, for some reason, the premise I know is funny, but I cannot figure out how to get it to be funny in front of an audience. Because you ever been to a restaurant and you watch an old person, like the first time you ever saw your grandmother or your grandfather or even your mother or your father, and they're like, you're at a restaurant and they're having like a hamburger or something, and they go, oh yeah, what can I get you to drink? And they're like, oh, I'll have a hot coffee. And I'm like, at what age do you decide that nothing washes a burger down your
Right,
fucking
right,
throat
right. Yeah,
more
yeah.
than a hot fucking coffee?
Oh.
Like, at what point do you go, yeah, no, I don't like Diet Coke, give me a fucking coffee?
I don't want
And
a
I
cool,
don't know
refreshing
how.
drink.
Yeah,
Give me a
Yeah.
hot cup of Senka.
Give me, yeah. I don't know why, but I think the problem is I've done it in front of older crowds,
Oh,
so they
yeah,
get a
right.
little
They
and they
defensive.
don't get it.
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I've asked
It is
them,
good.
I'm like, all right, at what age do you get where you think nothing better could wash this burger down
right.
than a fucking hot cup of coffee?
And it
And they
hits
just
too
look
close
at,
to home.
They just look at you like, what's his point?
Yeah, there's no joke there. That's just life.
Exactly, that's
He
my
did-
life.
He
Yeah.
did it at a
Yeah.
dinner
What's so
comedy
funny?
show while
He
they're having
saw me,
spaghetti and
right?
coffee.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't work. Me either, Ace.
Have you ever had an idea that you come up with? Because this happened to me one time where I'm driving along and all of a sudden I have this idea. I'm thinking of a joke and I started laughing out loud because I'm like, this is the most brilliant joke I've ever come up with.
Yep.
It's so
fucking died.
incredibly funny. I couldn't stop myself from laughing at how funny this joke was. Never worked once on stage.
Oh God,
Bombed every time. I literally
Yeah.
couldn't repair it. I couldn't fix it. I had to abandon it because there was no making it work.
But you never abandon it, right? In my
Oh no,
mind,
this one I totally abandoned.
in my
I
mind,
still know the joke.
Yeah, but see,
I've never used it again.
in my mind, I'm just not good enough to do that joke yet. It's not that the joke isn't right. It's just I am not good enough to pull that.
I have not figured out how to present it in a funny way.
Something
But it's a
somewhere
funny
down the
premise.
down the road, it's gonna, because I've had jokes that I've tried and I couldn't get, and then 3, 4, 5 years later, it might fit into another joke
Where it's a tag
where it's
or
a
something
tag,
like
or
that.
like
right.
I use it as a premise, or somewhere I haven't figured out
Right.
where it's supposed to be.
I've got a bunch of those.
Yeah, I'm not good enough right now to put that in the right spot, but it'll come to me eventually.
Not this one joke that I'm thinking of.
It just sucks.
It's
just
very
sucks.
pessimistic about this bit, huh?
No, because it's one of those ones I wanted it to work so bad, but I'm thinking this is just one of those jokes that maybe, like it's just my sense of humor, me hanging out with the guys, joking type of thing.
No.
It's not meant for crowds.
You know what?
And-
You know what would
and
be
just-
funny? If he told us the joke and we both came up with a version that fucking crushed.
I was gonna say at that point you almost write it over to somebody
Yeah,
and
right.
say, see if
See
you
what
can
you can
pull
do
this
something.
shit off.
And then all of a sudden we're doing a show together and he's like, that
yeah,
Well,
it's my closing bit.
Seinfeld actually talked about a joke like this that he had in his documentary Comedian. And he said, he goes, sometimes you have a joke. He goes, because jokes are like baby birds, and you got to care for them, and you got to feed them.
You gotta
and
regurgitate in their mouth.
You're taking care of them, and then all of a sudden they can fly on their own. He goes, but every once in a while you have one that you push out of the nest, and it falls to the ground like a fucking lead weight.
Yeah.
He goes, so you pick it back up and you put some more feathers on it and you feed it some more and you nurse it and you push it and it falls right back to the ground again. No matter what you do, you can't put enough fucking feathers on this thing to make it fly.
It's not going anywhere.
And it's just not gonna go no matter what you do. But you keep trying it. You keep because you feel there's
every
something
2 or
there.
3 years you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna try it again. I'm going in.
I have had the ones like you and I have talked about where all of a sudden I'll come up with something new and I'll take that old one that never used to work and I could put them together with this one and now I have
and
this,
it expands.
this
Right,
one
right.
thing
Yep.
that like, okay, that makes sense.
And
now.
and that's where I say, like, it's not you, it's not the bit, it's just you haven't figured out how it fits.
Or it's a joke that just can't stand on its own.
Yep.
But with another grouping of jokes that are around the same topic,
Yep.
it works.
Yeah, it could
It's
be
not
going to
be the closing,
right.
but it's gonna be maybe in the middle, sandwiched in the middle, and it works and it gets a laugh.
Yep.
But it's not gonna stand on its own.
Yeah.
So you said around 2006 is when you started doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And you did it for how long? Because we know there was a pause in there. So how long did you do it for before?
So I was consistent from like 2006 to 2015.
Yeah, I was gonna say you worked a lot.
Yeah. And I obviously, like most folks, slowly progressed, developed.
Yep.
And I say that, but I hear you. Like I said, I had been listening to the podcast to kind of catch up on what you guys were talking about and how you guys talked. And you guys talk a lot about open mics.
Yeah.
And as a guy that's been in comedy for 18 years, how warped am I that I love an open mic?
Yeah.
I love a fucking Tuesday night.
4 people in the audience.
Pub on
Yeah.
park.
It's Mondays, but
There's
yeah.
nobody there. There's
Yeah.
There's a couple. Like there's a couple.
And
that
then
just
14 comedians
and then
waiting to get on.
14 comics who think that if they laugh at all at anything you're saying, it
It's
will
competition.
impact them
Yeah, right.
in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I love that.
Don't get me
You
wrong.
love that now?
I
or
love
you
that
loved it
now.
then?
I love it right now.
Yes, but I think you're coming at it from a different aspect than those new kids.
You're probably right.
Because you're experienced.
Right.
So they're worried that you're gonna take something away from them if you do well, where you know what it is. This is practice.
Right.
So I'm just
And
gonna
don't get us wrong. We both love open mics. I would love to be able to find
No,
a
not
night
so
to
much.
go to an open. No, seriously.
No,
I would.
But it's gotta be good. You need an audience.
But if I don't have to go to an open mic and I have a show on the weekend and I go, oh shit, you know what? I'm gonna try this new joke, or I'm gonna try this joke I haven't done in a while and I'm gonna throw it in. I might as well just do that, because the alternative is I've got my kids Monday night, Tuesday night. They've got shit going on.
Right.
So the nights that open mics usually happen, I have my kids right now.
Yeah.
See, but it's different
You
for
know?
me because I don't have my
Yeah,
kids
what's
are
your
adults.
fucking excuse?
Yeah.
I don't have kids to worry about
Right,
anymore.
right.
You're just a
And-
pussy.
No, not necessarily.
Big
You know,
vagina.
honestly, some of it is you get lazy because you do have the weekend
Because
shows
you have
to
the
work stuff.
and I don't have a lot of
Right.
weekend shows.
Right, and you do get lazy, but you know when we had him on last week, Cody Brunette, this young comedian from Connecticut.
Yeah.
I took him to Parada's Pub and Park one night.
Yeah.
So he could.
Why would you do that?
Poor
Just-
kid. No, you know
what? This is a kid that had only done like open mic music nights to do his comedy.
yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'll take you to an open mic comedy night where you'll be around other comedians. He met John Prada. John's put him on some shows, get him kind of introduced in the comedy world. And I showed up, and when I got there, Prada goes, okay, Cody, I got you going on, whatever number. He goes, Scotty, I got you going on this time. I go, no, John, I wasn't going on tonight. He goes, no, I'm putting you on. I'm putting you on.
Yeah,
And I'm
brother,
like-
I need to fill the time. I told him 4.5 hour show.
Yeah.
So I go up there, and you know what? I had fun because you know what? There's no pressure. There's no.
Mhm.
I'm not getting paid. I'm not
You
doing.
don't give a shit if they don't laugh.
I just
No
got up and
fucking
fucked
deal.
around for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I did a few premises I was thinking of.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But I just kind of talked through them type of thing, and it was more me just kind of rehearsing in
Yep.
front of people, and I did have fun. I would definitely do it again. I've been thinking about going on what is it, Tuesday nights to what is
Skew.
Askew.
Yeah.
Doing
Yeah,
that one.
Yep.
Because I've heard a few people go there and had a good time.
Yeah, I just went 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And it was it's a good room, right? I would say the downside to that room, I've been in it too long to really give a fuck.
Mm.
The comics that are in that room talk too much.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for me, it wasn't an issue not to be a dick. But
you're loud.
I have a tendency
You're going to
to
command.
I have a
the-
tendency to quiet people down.
Right, right.
So it wasn't an issue for me, but I could hear it with other comics. And I was
Yeah.
kind of sitting in the back at the bar, and I couldn't hear people that I wanted to hear.
Oh, because
Right.
they're talking amongst
because
themselves.
And
the
see,
room
that's-
chatter was so
Yeah,
loud, and I'm like,
Yeah.
is this your social event? Or are you here trying to get better?
And
Because
that's-
that's what I'm
Right.
doing.
And that's what I noticed about open mics now versus when I started.
Yep.
When I started, open mics, first of all, they drew an actual audience.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
people came, you'd get 60 or
Yeah,
70 people
yeah.
on an open mic on a
Yeah.
Tuesday or a Wednesday, mostly Wednesdays. But people respected it. Yes, you might talk, but if you're a comic and you're talking, you're way in the back of the
Yeah,
room
right,
and you're
right,
being quiet.
right.
It wasn't disruptive. We wanted to see people running new material or
Right.
people trying stuff because as comics, we'd all be looking like, oh, you know what? Corey just did a joke. Oh, I wonder if he ever thought of tagging it with this. Like we all helped each other.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And
Or
now-
I heard that bit last week, and this is what he did different, and I'm going
Right.
to give him feedback
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and I don't know when the transition hit, all of a sudden comics just got so into themselves
Yeah.
that they didn't
Yeah.
care about their fellow comics. And at an open mic night,
Yup.
it just changed. People only gave a shit about themselves, and then it was all about the hang. And listen, I get it. You want to hang.
Right.
But when I started, open mic night was you went, you did the show, and then everyone hung because the open mic
Afterwards,
night
yeah.
was
You know-
done by 9:00.
Yeah.
Then you hung out and started talking like, oh, Corey, you did this joke about this. Did you ever think about tagging it with this? Or here's a callback or whatever.
You know,
Right.
even when I started in 2002, I used to go up to Boston a lot to the Connection in Faneuil Hall.
Mhm.
And like you said, it was like a paid audience came
Yep.
in and sat down
Yep.
to watch those
Yep.
shows.
Because they knew they were going to
And,
see
you know,
the next rising
Yep,
star.
yep.
We
We
didn't.
didn't-
Some of those people saw Dane Cook and
Yeah.
Bill
Yep,
Burr,
yep,
and
yep.
you know,
we
Yep.
didn't hang in the back and talk because if we
Nope.
did, Joey would throw your ass out.
Right. And you'd never get invited.
You'd never get another
never show
spot
your
again.
face again. No.
But we would sit and we would watch every comic and we would clap and we would laugh. And then Wednesday nights,
you were cheering each other on.
Wednesday nights, unfortunately, until everything went down, we were at the Station nightclub when
Right.
when
Yeah.
Mike Flynn ran his
Right. Yeah,
Flynn's
yeah,
comedy
yeah,
night over
yeah.
there. And I remember you had like Rhodes Pierre, Derek Bender,
Oh my
Mitch
Kelly-
Stinson.
yeah,
Kelly McFarland.
You know,
come in,
all
right?
these people
Yep.
that showed
Yep.
up all the time, they would sit and watch Dan Hershon used to go every
Yeah.
week.
Hershon, yeah.
And they would sit there and we would watch each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would watch each other and we would laugh at each other. And like you said, afterwards, someone would get off stage and we're like, you did that joke differently tonight, didn't you?
Yep.
I liked how
It
you
hit
changed
different
this.
tonight. You did this.
You
yeah.
know, and the only time we ever had a problem is when the two drunk guys at the bar came in to watch the show and they heckled.
Yeah.
There was never the comics were
Yeah,
a problem
no.
talking or anything like that.
And again, so I'm not shitting on the room or anything like that.
no.
No,
It's,
and no.
it's just a different
And
setup,
the only
a
thing
different
I
vibe.
would say is like maybe it's not the younger comics, right? Maybe it's on us as
Yeah.
the older comics because we're not
correcting that behavior.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
saying, hey, like, guys, the purpose of this is not. It's not a hang.
Well, part of that I think is because most of these rooms are run by those younger
Right,
comics.
Right.
They're starting them, they're running them, and good for
Good
them
for
for
them,
going out
though,
and,
right?
and having the hustle to do this. Absolutely. That's how they're getting the stage time. That's how they're getting better. So good for them. I don't think enough of the seasoned comics go to those
I don't
to
think they do either.
mentor them.
Yes, I agree. Like, it's so funny. I walk into these open mics, and I've had a couple of times people come up to me, be like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm a fucking comic too." Like, I just
want
Right.
to
just that's it. And they're like, "Oh, do you want to bump anybody?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I can." And I will tell you, to Ace's point, right? I got one at Deering right now at practice. I got one in Taunton. My kids
Right.
are all over
Yeah.
the place,
Yeah.
right? And now these open mics, the list is going up at like 6:30.
Yeah.
The show starts at 7. I'm
You're
like, guys,
driving
I'm
your
still
kid to a
fucking cooking
basketball
dinner.
game.
Yeah,
What
you
the
can't
fuck?
get there.
Yeah, like, so if I do go in and I do bump somebody, it's because like there's no way I can get here at 6:30.
Right. To sign up.
Yeah,
Right.
and so I might email
It's
somebody
different.
and say, hey, can you hook me up, please?
I think on a
Right.
Tuesday night, you and I need to show up and fuck some shit up.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
I'm with you.
I did a skew, and I think
I
her
know
name-
that you can't on a Tuesday night.
I might be able to if it's after the show.
Oh, if we
All right, I
plan
say-
it well in
I say-
advance.
Well, I do a cooking show now on
Oh,
Tuesday
yeah, that's
nights.
right. I
It's a
saw that.
sponsored cooking
Yeah.
show too.
Sponsored.
It's-
I got fucking sponsorship. I gotta
Whoa.
be serious now.
Yeah,
Shit
no
serious.
more fucking around.
No more fucking
Right, you
around.
better be
no more
careful with-
peanut butter and jelly sandwich
You better be careful with
recipes.
that
Yeah.
chicken. You don't want to
That's
get
right.
somebody sick.
No more
Hey.
fucking Nutella.
Right. No more
He's cooking real shit
Yeah.
now.
Right,
That's
right.
Hey, I got jambalaya upstairs if you want.
But yeah, I mean, I did that room on a Tuesday night that is skew, and I think the bartender's name is Windsong,
Mhm.
right? And I got her off
Winsong
stage.
Hadley.
Yeah, I got her off stage. And now, mind you, the guy who brought me up, I not to be.
You didn't know who
I
he
didn't know
was.
who he was.
Yeah.
And he brings me up. Oh, this guy's a regular at the Connection. I'm like, how does he know I'm a regular at the Connection? I don't wear a shirt that
Yeah,
says
right.
that, right? Like I just came in. I just want to do a spot, just like
You
everybody
didn't
else.
see the
Right,
back of your
right.
T-shirt that said "I play the connection" all the time.
Yeah, I guess Murray branded me, and I
Yeah,
didn't even
right.
realize it. Right. So I get off stage, and she was like, "Oh, that was great. We really appreciate you coming down." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Right.
Well, I think for an open mic
Hey.
night, if a guy that's been in the scene for a while shows up,
Right.
it legitimizes their night.
Yeah, but to your point, it happens so infrequently. What did you do?
So wait, so our friend Jen, who's
Did
a
she
regular,
point it out?
so I say to your point
A lot.
all the time.
Oh,
He
no.
says
And
it a
you've
lot.
said it twice in the
It's-
past 5 minutes.
It's a
So
drinking game on the show.
So one of our loyal watchers,
I did hear this. Yeah,
one
yeah,
of our loyal watchers goes, he said to Ace's point, bah ha ha. Does that count?
Yes, it counts.
Yes, it counts.
Absolutely.
Clinkies
Our watchers are home drinking along with
drinking.
us
Yeah,
every
it's a
time.
big
you
drinking
say it.
game
Excellent.
whenever we say to your point.
Excellent. All right, I'll
Oh, my
keep that
God.
in mind.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
No,
so
and
let's-
you know, I think that's good that you go out there and that not to interrupt you. I didn't know where you were going with your drinking.
I was going to ask a good question.
Go
but-
ahead.
No. To
Listen,
your point, go
Listen,
ahead.
you guys can fight on your own time.
100%.
Hurry up, will you? Jesus.
100%.
Fucking married couple over here.
Ask-
Fucking broads. Would you stop and just talk now?
That'll-
no, I'm
that-
not going to because he gets like this. He has 2 drinks,
Oh,
and then all of a
that's it.
sudden he gets like this. And no, I'll just be over here.
Nice job. Nice
The
job.
funny
Ace.
thing is, do you know how many people have called us a married
Yeah,
couple?
yeah, I can see why. All right, so who's asking the question?
No, go ahead, Scott. You started one,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah. Come
I'll
on,
ask
come on.
mine.
Come
No,
on.
no. I was going to make a statement, but it's
Oh, this-
it's going to lose its punch now. So you
Oh,
go.
all
With
right.
the age of you two
So,
fucks, if you don't
I
get a
have a
question out, you're
question.
never gonna
No,
remember.
it's not
shit.
gonna
We're 107 between the two of us.
Exactly.
Holy, we're almost as old as Brian Vincent. That's right, bitches.
That's
Uh,
almost as old as
So
Sophie Tucker's
we've
legs.
kind of talked a little bit about it, but so you did comedy until 2015,
Right.
and then you stepped away from comedy for a couple of years.
I would
Well,
probably phrase that differently.
You were pushed away from comedy.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
some
yeah.
people under the fucking bus.
Yeah, so I'm
So
gonna
you had
be
a day
gentle.
job.
Yeah, I had a day job. So I'm gonna be
Yes.
gentle because this was like my wife was very distraught over this whole thing. When I
Yeah.
get into what happened and
Yeah.
whatnot, you'll kind of understand why. But I'm gonna kind of protect some folks in
Yeah,
this
that's
just
fine.
to-
You don't
tell
have to
what you
shit
want
on
to tell.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
yeah.
tell what
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
want to.
So I worked for like a brand, a store brand. Let's call it like a store, chain store, right?
Yeah.
And they had a corporate office in Rhode Island, and then they had this national office, right?
Yeah.
And so I worked there for like 18
You know
years.
how bad I want to throw him under the bus. There's 4 letters to the store,
Stop.
and it's not
Stop.
IKEA. And it's not IKEA.
It's not
Stop.
IKEA, right? So
Stop.
I didn't say anything.
You start singing, I'm gonna smash you over the head with the battle cry bottle.
So I work at this store, right?
Yeah.
And I worked there for a really long time.
Yes.
And I worked my way up to eventually
You were like,
overseeing an entire store.
right.
Right. And first couple of weeks on the job, we have an employee who does something. I don't remember what it was, but he does something he's not supposed to
And
do.
you reprimanded him.
And somebody came to me, like the assistant manager came to me and she said, you might need to call corporate about this.
Mm-hmm.
This person has a pretty significant history with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So I call the corporate office and I'm talking to HR, and they say, well, actually, this person was supposed to be fired in March. This is August. But the person you took over for
Didn't
didn't
do it.
want to do
Didn't
it.
Follow through.
So they just kind of kicked the can down the road. So what do you want to do? And I'm like, I just started. I can't
Right,
fucking
right.
fire this guy, right?
Yeah.
Like he works in a program where he's got kids and parents. I'm like,
Right.
I can't come in here like a badass and like
Yeah.
start firing people.
Yeah.
That looks ridiculous. I said, why don't I do this? I'll pull the guy in. I'll talk to him and I'll say, hey, listen, we got to follow the rules and,
Right.
set some guide rails and try to befriend him. And maybe we can work our way
Maybe
through
we
this.
could, maybe we could manage it to the point where he realizes what he's doing wrong and he corrects it.
Right. All right. So I call the guy in and I say, listen, we got to straighten this out. And, I don't want to keep dealing with discipline issues. I said, I understand you're very good at your job. When he's working with the kids and the families, fucking great at it. This other stuff, you're not so good at.
Right.
So let me deal with that.
Yeah.
You do what you do very well.
Right.
And let me
Let's
handle
work
that.
to your
Yeah,
strengths.
And I'll handle all the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
All that HR shit
Right.
that you learn as a manager.
Right. Right.
Put the right people in the seat on the bus and fuck
Yeah.
Right. So we go through that whole spiel. Good, done. 2 weeks later, he comes to me and he says, hey, I have an idea. I said, okay, sounds like a good idea. Let me just run it up to corporate and we'll see what they say.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, do you think corporate needs to check with the national office? And I said, I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm going to ask corporate, and whatever they
let's see what
decide
they
to
decide.
do,
Yeah.
like it's their job to decide whether it needs to go up. It's not my job to ask that question, right? I said, so whatever they say, that's what we're going to go with.
Mhm.
Agreed? He's like, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, great. So corporate calls me back and they're like, yeah, go ahead with your idea.
Mhm.
So I call him in. Hey, great news. That idea you want to do, go ahead and do
Let's
it.
do it.
And he goes, well, did they ask national? And I said, I don't know. I don't
All
care.
I know is they gave us the go ahead.
I have it in writing right here. It's in an email. I have
Right.
it written down that they gave us the go ahead. So if anybody gives a shit, we're covered. We're
Right.
fine. He's like, oh, no, I really think. I'm like, no, we agreed. This is how we were going to handle this situation. Just let it go. Do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks later, corporate calls me. Why did you guys reach out to national about this situation? I said, excuse me? They were like, your guy called national
Wow.
about this situation.
Right.
National called us and said, get your fucking people in line. We don't deal with shit like this.
This is Yeah.
This is small potatoes.
Yeah.
Right.
You clearly don't know how to run your organization if this is what's going on. So now, as the manager, I look like a fucking idiot.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
No, let me ask you this. Was he trying to get his idea catapulted into national? Like, was it an ego thing where he was like,
Or was he
Not
trying to
only
make
is this a
circumvent
great-
you to make you look bad?
I have no
You don't know.
fucking idea.
no, I'm just
fucking
thinking
idea.
like, was he like, hey, this is a great idea. I want national to know about it so that they
Ace, it was small potato. It was like this little
Something stupid,
little
little-
change that he
yeah.
wanted to make, right? He
Yeah.
wanted to change a blue wall to a green wall,
right.
right? And Nationals, like, I don't fucking care what
I
color you
don't
paint
care
that
what
wall.
right, exactly.
And it's not like we're going to paint every wall everywhere fucking green because
Right.
of this ingenious idea to paint this wall
right.
green.
Obviously, national
Right.
felt that way. I was just wondering if
No, no,
he
no.
thought it was something that
I
should be
can't
bigger.
imagine that it was
Yeah.
it wasn't transferable.
Then it makes
right?
no sense why he went
Right.
to national.
So now they call me and they're like, he's got to go. And I'm like, okay. So now I have to bring this person in and let him go.
Shit.
And when I do, all the kids and parents that he works with
Yep.
go,
They're on
ape
his
shit.
side and they fucking start.
right? And then we have this big town hall meeting where we sit with these parents and we talk to them and they're like, well, we want to know why he was fired.
National.
I'm like, we can't tell you
Yeah,
why he
right,
was
gonna
right.
say,
fired. Why
Yeah.
can't you tell us? Because it's against the law. Like there's
Yeah,
an
right.
actual
Yeah.
law. I said, if you want to call him
If he wants
and
to
he wants
explain
to
it,
tell you,
right.
I can't even rebut what he says.
right.
Right? This is so much red tape in
It's
this
just
shit.
like it's just like if you get let go by a company, a lot of times that company, if you put them down as a reference, the only thing they can say is yes, he was
Confirmed dates of
employed here
employment.
from here to here.
That's all.
What kind of employee was he?
That's all we do.
Can't
Confirm
do it.
dates of
Yeah.
employment.
Confirmed
That's
dates of
it.
right? Right? There's so much.
Exactly.
And we all know that, right?
Right.
So I'm
right.
trying to paint that
That's
picture.
HR 101.
Right? I'm trying to paint this picture to what I think is a bunch of adults
Right.
who are clearly acting very emotionally, on this
Obviously,
situation,
because
right?
they liked him and what he did.
right? So I'm like, I can't get into that.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is the kids were safe, but unfortunately, I'm new and this kind of just fell in my lap and
Right.
they couldn't piece together what I was saying.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, if you're new, then why didn't you just give him a warning?
Right.
And I'm like, just because
now you're taking the brunt.
right. But just because your supervisor is new
Mhm.
doesn't mean your personnel record gets thrown away.
Right.
Right.
You don't start
His
from
shit
scratch.
was right. And
don't
you
start from scratch.
and you can't share with them that you're not starting from scratch, that this was an ongoing issue from before.
Exactly.
Right.
So I can't say any of this shit. There's 120 parents in
well,
this room.
that's because you have to act legally. They're acting emotionally.
Right.
Right. And there's
And
no
those
way.
two things do not mix.
no
No.
communication is going to get through
No.
that barrier,
No.
right?
Right.
No.
Right.
So we call this meeting and we say we're going to meet again next week when we have a better idea of how we're going to fill these gaps and blah, 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 blah. So we schedule the meeting for the next week and I get a phone call the day of the meeting and it's a parent. And the parent says to me, I know the parent. We went to school together. We went to Rick together. We were both in theater together. And the parent says to me, I just want to give you a heads up. If they find out that I'm calling you, they're not going to be happy with me,
Right.
but they are coming after you tonight. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, they found a clip of you online
Doing comedy.
doing comedy and they are just going after you. They are trying to get you fired.
Wow.
Holy shit.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I call corporate, fill them in on what's going on. And they say, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Tell your assistant manager that she has to stand at the entrance. And whenever she thinks it's necessary, she just needs to call 911. That's the type of meeting we're walking
Holy
into.
Fuck.
Oh
Right.
my
So I have to
God.
call this person into my office and say to this person,
Right.
listen, we're going to have this meeting tonight. And if at any point you think you need to call,
it's unsafe, you need to call 911.
she's like, I've done some really shitty jobs here.
Yeah. I've
But
never
this
had
is
to
the
do this.
fucking worst.
I've never had to have
Right.
911 on speed
Yeah, she's
dial.
like, should I just dial 911
Right.
and wait? I'm like,
Right.
yeah, probably.
It might be a good idea.
Yeah.
right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's the type of
Wow.
environment that we're walking into. So
Meanwhile, you're like, what clip was it? Because was I good? Did I have a
it
good
was,
set?
we
or-
can get into that too.
Was I getting laughs?
we'll
Because as
get
a
into
comic,
that.
that's
yeah.
all we care
Right,
about.
we'll definitely get into that, right? So I start this meeting, and not 5 minutes into my spiel of what I have to go through, because I'm the only one talking.
Someone comes up with their prepared fucking statement.
Somebody raises their hand,
Yeah.
and I'm like, we're gonna deal with questions and things like that once I get through everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, we're taking over. And they start with, why don't you tell us about your personal life? Because that's an appropriate way to start this conversation.
At
right?
a fucking meeting.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about your personal life? We've got video, blah, blah, blah. And so then we call the meeting. We're like, nope, that's it. We're not doing this. This is not about me. This is about the program and what we're going to do and how we're going to handle it. We're not getting into my personal life. So we call the meeting. These parents are milling around. They're waiting to get a hold of me. Everybody wants their 2 minutes in front of me.
You want their pound of flesh.
Oh yeah, right. And I have this one parent in front of me, and the parent actually says to me, I didn't like this person, and I think they should have been fired a long time ago.
But
Because this person told my kid that they needed to make a choice because my kid missed a session. And this person said to my kid missed a session because of church. And this person said to my kid, you need to make a choice between this and your religion.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he
But
said.
they still sided
but they're
with,
coming after
But
you.
they're coming after
they're
me.
still coming after
They're
you.
coming after me.
Wow.
Like that's where the absence of logic, like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Like, and I
How is
had
this
to,
happening?
I had to stand there professionally when the comic in me, right? I'm
Wants
like,
to just lash
what
out.
the fuck is going on?
You wanted to stand on the chair in your fucking Celtics shirt.
Yeah. Like it's fucking bonkers, right?
Yeah.
So we get and here's another good part, right? Is a ward representative,
Yeah.
council ward
Yeah.
is at the meeting, and he comes up to me, he goes, you got a lot of upset people here. Maybe you should rethink your decision.
It wasn't your decision.
And
It was
I'm
corporate's decision.
and I'm like, this has no political bearing whatsoever.
Right.
This is a business matter.
Yeah.
You're pandering for votes. I'm gonna fucking punch you in the throat
Yeah,
right now.
right.
Like I have no interest in you
If
whatsoever.
I'm going down, I'm going down big.
Yeah,
punching you in the throat.
yeah. Like it was
Right.
completely like just the dirtiest thing I could ever see a politician doing, and he fucking did it right in front of me. So we get through this, right? We send all these parents home. They call me up and they say, you got to stop doing comedy. And I was like, really? Why? Wow, these parents are really upset about it and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, but these parents are emotional and irrational.
Right.
Like it has
Your
nothing-
comedy has nothing to do with the behavior of the person that you were trying to work with.
and now I've worked at this company for 18 years, right? Look at my personnel record. Have you guys ever had any? Now, these parents were saying, I shouldn't be around kids. I was dangerous.
Crazy.
I'm a pedophile. If you go online and you Google my last name and the place that I worked,
yeah.
the local city that I
Yeah.
grew up in,
Yeah.
right? These parents commented. It's like 120 comments of these parents saying, don't send your kids to the bathroom. He's dangerous.
Holy shit.
Right. I mean, I worked with kids
Oh my
and shit.
God.
So this is why I said to you, like, my wife was in complete.
Beside
she
herself,
read
right?
every fucking comment.
Poor thing.
Poor woman.
Right. And she's like, I can't believe what they're doing to you.
To you, right? It's like a fucking lynch mob,
It's exactly like, I mean,
right?
cancel culture at its earliest inception.
To the 10th exponent.
right.
so-
So they tell me I gotta stop doing comedy. I'm like, okay, this is my livelihood. I got 2 kids. I just took
This is your day job,
yeah,
right?
I just took this
If
job.
my day job said I had to stop doing comedy,
You wouldn't have a choice.
I wouldn't have a choice.
right. I just took
exactly.
this promotion. It was a big promotion for
Right.
me, right?
Yeah, you would like
Yeah.
the guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, a big
You were stuck.
big salary increase for me, and I'm like, I
Right.
can't do this to my family. Like we don't have the opportunity for me to fucking put a stake in the ground and die on this hill. Like, no, I gotta fold up shop.
Not
right?
going to your
Most
open
people
mics at
don't
a
have
skew.
that.
Right.
So I've
Nice callback.
so I
I
stopped
can't
doing
write a
comedy.
callback for my act, but I can write one for tonight. yeah.
So I stopped doing comedy, right? And here's probably the
Now, did you write to the Village people and tell them to stop singing that song? I'm sorry. I just dropped a hint, folks. I just dropped a hint.
So I get a call
In the Navy.
like a month later. I'm just gonna keep talking.
Sorry.
I get a call. I get a call like a month later, right? It's the VP from HR.
Yep.
She's talking to me about, how's it going? I know it was very hostile this whole time.
Yeah.
I know it's tough. How are the staff doing? How are you holding up? Blah, 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 blah. It's a Friday.
Yeah.
You got any plans this weekend to kind of get away from everything? I was like, no, the kids have soccer games.
Yeah, I got 2 shows Saturday.
Wait.
My name's Bob Shumway.
Good callback.
That's a callback. Right? So,
Playing stitches.
so she goes, you have any plans? I say, hey, the kids have soccer games. I'm running around with the kids. She's like, oh, you're not at the Connection this weekend, are you? And I said, no, I'm not at the Connection this weekend. She was like, oh, well, your name is on their website.
Oh, get out.
And I'm like,
So here she is making believe like she's calling out of concern for your
Oh,
well-being.
That is so
But she's
shitty.
fucking trolling the connect, like the
Yeah.
internet
They're
and the
checking on
Connections
you.
webpage.
and I'm like, how many
Wow.
managers do you call and ask what they're doing on
For
their
the
weekend?
right? And how they're doing.
And I was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not at the Connection this weekend.
Wow.
She was like, well, your name is on their
Did
website.
you call the guys at the Connection and say, "Hey guys, why is my name on that?"
I told you to put Bob Shumway.
Yeah,
Because
I told you Bob Shumway.
because remember Friday nights at this time, this was 2015. It was the hardcore show at the Connection on Friday night at 10
Oh.
o'clock. The hardcore show started
So-
with like 7 comics. Me,
Right.
Bowden, Ray,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Porch.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we were the
So they just put
Home
the
of
same
comics.
names.
Put the same names.
I was
right.
there twice a month, like on a
Right.
rotating basis.
So
Bowden
they
would
just put the same list of names.
yeah.
Right.
We
right.
were house comics for the Connection.
right for the hardcore
Right,
show.
right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right. So like that's why my name was on the website. So I had to call Rob at
And
the Connection
Rob
and say,
Pierce and have your name
and say,
taken off
Rob,
the
can
thing.
you take my fucking name off of the website because
Wow.
my day job is giving me shit about my name being on the website.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why I'm back as Corey G, because I'm like, I'm not fucking never doing this again. I got a new job.
Yeah. So
Right.
what? So did you leave that place?
Mm.
You left on your own volition, like it
I
wasn't.
got a new
them-
job.
Yeah.
I got like I knew it wasn't the right place for me.
Yeah.
Not just the comedy, but a ton of other reasons.
No, but
Well,
just
yeah,
just
I-
the fact that
yeah.
they were fucking spying like that. Like,
Right. And I mean
they had
did.
to physically go to the Connection site.
Yeah.
And
right.
troll it.
Right.
To
Well,
look for
and
your fucking name.
And
there.
just look at how it all started with the parents looking for a reason to come after you.
Right.
I mean, just how the
Wow.
whole thing started was bad enough.
Right. Like you can't even put it aside and be like,
No.
oh, yeah, it's not like we got a random complaint. Like this was a targeted thing,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I left this place. And when I was accepting my new position, I said, listen, guys, I used to do stand-up comedy. I want to get back to it. Do you guys have a problem with that?
Right.
And I have a totally different job now.
Yeah.
I deal with plumbers. and
Yeah.
I just do facility stuff now.
Yep.
Right. So I deal with
Facility
all
management.
vendors. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
deal with all vendors, right?
Right.
These guys don't give a fuck what I say. They
Right.
say way worse shit than I say, right?
10 times.
So it's a perfect fit for me.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
was like, hey, listen, do you mind? They were like,
Yep.
nope, we don't care. It's your personal life. You do whatever you want to do.
Right.
Here's the kicker. Okay. I got a lot of kickers in this story. I was leaving. I gave my notice. And I actually, because of my position,
Mhm.
I actually gave them 4 weeks notice.
Right. Right.
Right. Because when you're that,
when you're that high up, if you have 4 weeks vacation, you want to give them as much as you've got vacation,
right.
or you want to give them plenty of time to find someone. Right.
Exactly. Now, mind you, I knew I was leaving. It's not like a secret. I had been looking for a job for a long time.
Mhm.
So I had put all the right people in place.
Yep.
And so I said to them, here's what you're going to do. The assistant manager that I had was
Mhm.
just going to move into the management role. The rest of the team was strong enough. They would be fine. They
Mhm.
would not miss a beat with me being gone. I promise. I
Right.
am not that good. Right. So Just leave them alone. 4 weeks, I'll be here. I'll coach them through everything. Blah 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 blah
Right.
blah. My wife's school is doing a fundraiser. Guess who's doing the fundraiser? Fucking Funny for Funds.
Funny for funds.
right? Bill
Yep.
Simus is on the fucking fundraiser.
Right.
So I have given my notice.
Yep.
They know I'm leaving. I'm leaving in like 2 weeks. So I call the CEO,
Yep.
whose brother is a comedian.
What?
Really?
Yes.
We're gonna talk after this fucking
Yes.
show because
you
I want to know
know
names.
his brother
Wow.
very, very well.
Yeah.
He ran a club at Lincoln,
Oh. Okay. Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So I went to the CEO and I said, listen, my wife's school's doing a fundraiser. I can't guarantee that they'll give me a spot. But I have a feeling if I called Mike or Bill up and I
They're gonna
said,
give me a spot because it's my wife's school.
and it's the first time I could do comedy in 3 years,
Right.
they probably would throw me a bone.
Right.
No, that's not a good idea.
Even though you had already
Holy
given your notice.
Shit.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Holy shit.
Corey. Oh my god.
Dude, you can't fucking write this shit.
Right.
Right. And I've been like holding on to this. And, you know, I talk to friends. I'm like, dude, I'm going on this podcast. They want to know the story, but I got to try to protect my wife and my family.
Yeah.
And they were like, just don't say names.
Yep.
You stay out of it.
Sorry.
I stay out of it. I didn't say anybody's name.
No,
I
you
was
didn't.
very
No.
neutral.
Right.
Right. I presented the facts as I
Yeah.
recall them.
No, you know what? We live in a time of cancel culture, and you hear a lot of stories of guys that
I'm just
say
amazed.
things on stage and people trying to cancel them and cancel their careers and stuff like that. But that's a different level of stress than
Right.
what you went
Right.
through.
And again, you know what? It's one thing when it's me.
But
I
it-
signed on for it. But when
Right.
it's my wife,
but yeah, you
But the difference is too, they have you did the right thing, the professional thing of giving them 4 weeks notice, and for them to even think that they had any say in the matter.
Right.
Like you could have turned around and said, "Go fuck yourself."
right? Never mind my notice.
I'm no longer working for you.
Right, right,
I'm doing what the fuck I want.
right. I didn't even do that. Right.
Oh my
Instead,
God.
no, you were probably professional. You did
But forget. Listen,
because you're not
professional.
thinking about just yourself at that
right,
point.
right. But 3
Right.
years of
Right.
carrying this shit, right? Of
Wow.
like, I
Yeah.
stopped like I said. So I was a house comic
Mhm.
at Connection.
Yeah.
So this happened in September of 2015. In January of 2016, Ryan from Mohegan Sun,
Yeah.
comics at Mohegan
Yeah.
Sun, called me and said, "We're having a roast for my dad's birthday.
Yes.
Yep.
He fucking loves you.
Yeah.
Will you come do his roast?"
Right.
I'm like, Ryan, I can't do his roast.
Oh my God.
And he's like, dude, I'm not fucking selling tickets. It's
Right.
just us, like in a
But you
room.
were so afraid.
I was so afraid.
Someone being in the audience that night that
Th-
could fucking narc on you.
Right.
Well,
I'm like-
somebody fucking records it,
Right.
posts it or something.
And
That's
post
exactly
it.
what I said
Yeah.
to Ryan. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, somebody
that
records
crazy?
it. I'm fucked.
That's
like, I love
crazy.
your dad. You guys have been nothing but
Yeah.
super nice to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do it. So I went
Mhm.
just to wish Mike
support Mike,
a
right.
happy birthday and wish.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, how come you're not going on? I'm like, I can't fucking go
Yeah.
on, guys. I can't. I want to go on, but I can't
So,
fucking
That
do
had
it.
to be
I-
tearing at your soul the whole
I
time.
stopped
all
going.
this stuff
I
that was
stopped
going
going
on.
to the Connection Christmas party. Corey and Dave invited me to every fucking Christmas party
Yep.
from 15, 16, 17. Every year I got
Yeah.
the fucking invite. And I'm like, guys, I'm not a
I
comic.
can't go.
And they were always super. They were like, you'll always be a comic to us. Like, if you want
Right.
to come, you're welcome. Come. And I would never go.
Right.
I couldn't.
Well, because
be
you
in
didn't
that
want to put
environment.
yourself in that
I
environment.
couldn't
Right.
be in that
Yeah.
environment. It's like an alcoholic, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way I
Yeah.
could be around
Yeah.
it.
Because you know you're going to be tempted to go up
Oh.
on stage and do some time.
Yeah.
I experienced something similar, but not to that level.
Yep.
I became a manager.
That's a whole nother level.
No, that is a whole other level. But I became a manager with my company, my previous company. Now I was with that company for 24 years. I became a manager, and I had my regional vice president one time say, hey, I noticed on your voicemail, it says Rich Aceto from this company and comedian Ace Aceto. I said, well, yeah, because that's my personal phone. I don't have
A work phone.
The company didn't give us a work phone. So that's my personal phone that
Right.
I pay the fucking bill on
Right,
every
right, right.
month.
Yeah, I could put whatever I want on that
I'll
message.
put whatever I want. I didn't
This
say it
stick
like
bag,
that.
leave me a message.
Yeah. I didn't say that, but I said, what's the issue? She goes, well, I just think it's a little unprofessional. I said, why? She goes, well, if the CEO's admin tried to call you and set up like a ride along with you, because I'm in medical sales.
Yeah.
If they set up a ride along with you, that would be a little unprofessional. I'm like, how would it be unprofessional? I'm not saying dirty jokes on there. All I'm saying is
dick jokes on your
comedian
voicemail.
Ace Aceto. Exactly. And do you know, I had to, she was the only person in 25 years
Yep.
with that company that felt
That
that way.
called you out on it. Yeah.
Everyone else was like, I think it's awesome that you're a comedian. Your customers think it's awesome that
Right.
you're a comedian. If I talk to customers and they go, do you play here or do you play there? Oh yeah, I could play. I'll play there.
Yeah.
They think it's fucking great. Do you know what it's like to be I don't want to say drug rep because I'm not in that side of it, but as a medical salesperson, for me to go into an office and have them come to a fucking show,
Right.
and then all of a sudden I have set myself apart from every other fucking sales rep
Of
that
course,
walks in that
of course.
office. But this fucking bitch
Right.
turned around and made me feel as if I was wrong for putting that on my voicemail.
And you know what? Being comics and the insecurities that we have,
oh, it
Yeah.
fucked
somebody
with me for
says
a long
that
time.
to you,
Yeah, right.
you are sitting there thinking, well, maybe I should change it now.
Yeah,
I did. I
Yeah.
did.
You know, you can't help yourself. So I can imagine the mental stress
Yep.
that
must
you
have
went
gone
through
because that was
while that was building up. And then how many years were you out of comedy? Total?
3 years.
That 3 years must have been hell for you.
I
Must have
got
been
the
hell for
offer
you.
for my new job,
Mhm.
and it was a little bit of a step down in pay.
Mhm.
Plus, I wasn't driving. I was working. I was working and living in the same city.
Mhm.
Like it was 0.5 of a mile from my house,
From
right?
your house for the first job,
Right. And for this new job that I took, I go to Newport 2 or 3 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So it's
when
a
you
30-minute ride.
when you
right.
factor in gas
Yeah.
and the small step down in pay, it was a little bit
It was
of
a
cash for
sacrifice,
us, right?
yeah.
My wife looked at me and was like, I can't fucking live with you like this. If it means you can do comedy, we'll fucking figure it out.
Right.
I don't care.
Kudos to her.
Right? I mean, it was just
Yeah.
and again, like we went through so much shit. Like I said, so when I was working with this company, as I said, I worked my way through.
Mhm.
I worked with kids and families for years and years and years. I
Right.
coach sports and things like that.
Right.
I have kids that are 30 that have kids on their own.
Right.
You ever ask them, Coach ever swear in front of you?
Right.
Coach
Right.
ever do anything
Was he ever
inappropriate?
inappropriate? No.
They would be like,
Right.
I couldn't imagine, right? When I talk to people, somehow it would come up and they would be like, get out of here. You're a comic? No way. You're so quiet. I can't imagine.
Right.
And then the biggest thing was when they found out I was a comedian, then they tap into that skill set that you have.
Right.
And that's the shit that pisses me off the most. Right. Because when you're in sales mode, you can read a room.
Right.
You know when
Right.
you're losing somebody,
Yep.
you know when somebody's paying attention to
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
You know where you need to change and how you need to change.
How
and
you
what
have
they
to adjust.
you can fucking go on the fly. It is
Yep.
such a honed skill in you
Right.
that if you're good at this,
You don't even realize you're doing it.
right. And when you get to the level where we are,
Mhm.
you have to have that skill.
Right.
Right.
Well, you don't get to that point. You're not featuring, you're not headlining, you're not
No,
in major.
It's the same thing with comedy. You can read a room. You know what's going on. You know what's working, what's not, and how you have to adjust.
So they were the first ones. We had an event going on. They would say, "Oh, Corey, why don't you MC the event?"
right.
Right? After this whole shit went down, there was only one special event that I would MC, and that's because the person whose fundraiser it was a very personal friend of mine,
Mhm.
and he had lost a son, and the benefit was towards his son. And I was like,
a
for
scholarship.
you,
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Right. But
Everything
no one
else they asked me to do,
fuck you.
I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't talk in front of people anymore.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Right? Because it's like that skill is realized and accepted when it benefits you.
Right. But not when you want to use it
Well,
against me.
And then here's another good story. So I got back into comedy.
Mhm.
I was at the Connection one weekend, and I'm on stage, and I look out, and we had a CEO change.
Mhm.
And the CEO changed.
The old company?
Yeah, the old
Yep.
company, the CEO changed right after all this shit went down, and the new
Yep.
CEO kept the no stand-up thing in place. Because I went to him and I said, "Hey,
Yeah.
can we change this up
Can we
now that we have a
change
new
it?"
leader?
Right.
Like this was all a shit show, it was a
They
witch
kept
hunt."
it.
And he was like, "No, we're gonna keep it, right?" So the old CEO, I'm on stage at the Connection, and I'm looking out in the crowd, and you know how it is, you can't really see, and I'm like, that
That
fucking
kind of looks like
might be the old CEO,
the old CEO.
the old CEO, and
okay.
he's fucking dying laughing.
Wow.
Motherfucker.
Friday night show, 2 shows. So the first show ends, and I try to catch him to see if it was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's gone.
Right.
My phone rings on Sunday, and his name is still saved in my phone. And
Right.
I'm like, holy fuck. I pick up the phone, and he says, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I was at the show Friday night.
You
That's
were
a-
funny.
That's a side I've never seen of you. I've never seen you so comfortable and so commanding.
Mhm.
You are unbelievable. I can understand why you want to do what you do." And
I would have been like, you motherfucker, you judged me on this, and this is what I did. Like, was that so fucking bad that I needed to get fucking driven out of my job?
So I'm
getting pissed for it.
I know. I know. I know.
I am, seriously. I'm getting pissed
Well,
for
if you're gonna
you.
top one off, top them
Right,
both off.
right.
I was drinking out of
Let me just ask you, let's flip that, because obviously we talked about the effect it had on your wife and your family,
Yeah.
and what you went through, and then you talk about that moment. Let's flip that. What was that first time back on stage?
Yeah.
Where
After
was
3
it?
years.
Fucking-
And what did that feel like
I want to
for
kick.
you?
I want to kick Brian Bowden in the dick
Well, we all do. but
Right?
Go ahead.
because he said to me, because he had a break for a while in
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah.
So he and I
Yep.
were talking.
Yep.
Because Bowden and I pretty much came up together.
Yeah.
Right.
I started a little bit before him.
Yeah.
But we're just
It was
kinda,
around the same
we're just
time.
kind of
Yeah, yeah.
comedy brothers. Like
Yeah.
we,
Yep. I get that.
So I call him and we're talking, and he's like, "Listen, I had a break too, and I'm telling you, it's like riding a bike. You'll be fine. Once you get out there, don't worry about it."
Right.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Maybe for him.
Maybe for him. Holy fuck, it was so hard. You
Really?
don't realize how quickly those skills we were talking about that you hone,
Yeah.
when you don't use it, you lose
You
it.
lose it.
It-
Absolutely.
That's a muscle
Absolutely.
that needs exercising, and when
Well,
you
we
don't
all
exercise it,
Listen,
It-
we all found out about that during the pandemic.
Right. And that was-
We talked about it. We were at a show together up in Katrovas booked us for a show up in New Hampshire. We're sitting in the green
first
room
show back after almost a year.
Oh,
almost
right.
a year, and I'm standing there and I'm sitting at a
and how much time are you guys supposed to be doing?
He's
I
closing.
was
Oh,
closing
fuck.
at 45.
And
Oh,
I'm
fuck.
doing 30. He's doing 45.
Wow, that's
And
a
I
lot
stare
for
at
the
him.
first time back.
Dude, I stare at him. I go, "What's my closer?"
Swear to God. Swear to
Swear
God.
to God.
He just looks at me. He goes, "What do I close?"
It took
with?"
us 5 minutes to figure
and
out.
I'm sitting
Family
there, and
Guy.
I look down at
and
the
then he
table,
goes, "What's
and-
my opener?"
and I go, and then the guy's finishing up that's opening, and I get up and I go to walk away, and I turn back and I look at him. I go, "What do I open with?"
It's scary, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So like it was really hard for me to get back into it. The material was there. Don't
Mhm.
get me wrong. Like I had the material,
You got to tap into it and figure out, how do I deliver
but
it?
delivering it is
Yeah.
not. I mean, you can have the funniest shit written. You still have to get in front of people, read the room, figure out
Right.
where you're going. What are you doing next? How are you getting
Well,
there? All that shit.
And that's what, and that's one of the things I love about doing this podcast, because we open the hood, we get underneath, and we look at the engine.
right.
What drives this?
Can you tell he
because-
works in cars?
No, but it's true, because
Yeah.
there's more than just saying the words. And
Right.
when you first come back, you're just trying to remember all the words. And then after a while, you got to remember the
How did I
timing,
deliver it? What's the timing? What's
presentation.
where do
You know,
I
Ace talked about
emphasize?
you being on the chair and
Yeah.
yelling.
Yeah.
That's all the presentation of it.
Right.
Right.
But in the beginning, when you first come back, you can't worry about that.
No.
You
You're
got
just
to
trying to
worry about
remember the fucking
remembering all
words.
the fucking words
Right.
that you wrote
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing when we only took a year off. You took 3 years
3
off.
years.
Oh my God. I
Three
can't
You know
even
that,
imagine.
and I guarantee you, during those 3 years, you're thinking of jokes.
No.
You're thinking of stuff.
No.
You didn't.
No?
Everybody asked me that question.
You were able to turn that off.
Everybody is like, I bet you were writing. And I'm like, it's like a tree falling in the woods.
Right.
What's the point of writing?
Right.
I
If
am
I'm
the type
never-
of guy.
If I'm not going to use it,
Did you
I
can't
why
get
am
up
I
and
going to
do-
do it?
What is
Right.
more exciting, guys, than writing a bit and being like, I can't fucking wait to
This
try
Monday night?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
right there. And then you get up, and whether it bombs or it hits, you get home and your wife is like, well, how did it go? Doesn't matter. I fucking did that new bit
Yeah.
that
Did
I
you-
wanted to
and
do.
it bombed.
And it was
But you know what?
Did you
I-
think
I
you-
know how I'm going to tweak it next week?
Did you think you were not going to get a chance again when that when
No.
that time first started?
No, I knew I was marketable enough.
Mhm.
And then I went back to school and got my master's degree. And I was like, fuck this. If
I'll get a job that actually
Yeah.
supports my
Right, right, right.
comedy.
And then
Right.
and then the
Good.
company that wouldn't let me do comedy, they were like, "Oh, well, we want to help you pay for your master's degree." And I was like, "No, thank you. I don't fucking owe you anything. I don't ever want to
Right.
owe you anything.
Wow.
I am
Right.
not going to stay here because I'm that type of person where I'd be like, well, they kind of pay for my master's degree. I feel like shit leaving 6 months after I get it. I was like, I knew that I wouldn't be able to do that. So I was like, nope, I'm fucking paying for it. I don't care. We'll take care of it.
Good for you.
And so I
Good for
got my
you.
master's degree, and I think it helped me land my new job. But yeah, like I couldn't write. I didn't think about jokes. So part of me is like, shit, I really lost out on a bunch of material. But then part of me is like, it would have just been torture.
Yeah.
I'm like you, Ace.
Yeah.
I don't watch comedy. I heard you say that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck, another comic just like me.
because the worst
I don't want
thing,
it subliminally
you
in
don't
my
want to
head.
wake up 6 months from now going, I've got this fucking great idea
Yeah.
for a bit. And you may take it in a different direction than the person you see it from, but still, it's so
Wow.
close.
Yeah.
You're like, oh
And-
shit, I don't want to do that.
And
I
I've
don't,
done.
I don't
done
want to
that
do
before.
shitting on
Yeah.
coats at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right.
Like Dane Cook, you know?
I've actually done that once before, where I'm on stage, I'm in the moment, and I'm doing a bit, and at the end of the bit, I throw a line out there, and I'm like, oh shit, I think I heard that.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Like, fuck.
It's so funny the fundraiser that my wife had at her school. So I said Bill was headlining that
Yep.
fundraiser. Right?
Yeah,
And Bill has a bus bit,
Mm-hmm.
I think I've heard
The
that
fuck
before.
bus.
right?
Yeah, we all
Fuck
know the
bus,
fuck
right.
bus.
So I had a bus bit. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we were at this fundraiser, and 3 years out of comedy, my wife didn't know who Bill was, and Bill starts doing his bus bit.
She thinks he
and she
stole your
turns to
bit.
me and she was like, "Oh my god, that's your bus bit." And I'm like, "Babe, it's a bit about school buses."
Right.
Like,
it's not my bus bit. It's,
not-
his
yeah,
bus
it's
bit.
like that's like
Right.
saying, "Oh, I do you can't talk about airplanes because
Right.
fucking
Because Billy
I-
does shitting
yeah.
on a plane.
yeah, right. Like you can't like it's so universal, right?
Oh,
That
Yeah.
that
But-
guy's doing a joke about having kids.
But now I say that to you, right? Stitches one night, John Parada. I can't remember this guy's name. I think it was Rich. Talk about not throwing people under the bus.
Yeah, but let's figure this out.
Older comic, Rich, had a bit about buses, and he thought I took his bus bit, right? And so we were both at Stitches on a fucking open night,
Open mic night.
right?
Yep.
And so I wasn't doing the bit because at the time it was like one of my closers,
Yeah.
right? So I wasn't pulling it out at Stitches for Dana, who wasn't fucking paying any attention to me anyway, right?
For an open mic night.
Yeah, right. Like this, I'm working here, right?
Right.
So this fucking guy, now I'm like 22 years old, right? So this fucking guy goes up and he does his bus bit, and he gets off the stage and he comes fucking marching right at me. And this guy's, I say he's old, right? Because I'm 22, and he's probably my age
Yeah,
right
right now.
right?
Was it Rick Beretta?
I don't know. I don't know if it was.
I'm
Rick
just
Beretta.
thinking. I'm just thinking of the riches that I know.
I don't.
And
I thought his name was Rich,
All right.
but I don't know if it was him.
He's bailing out.
Yeah, right. So
Folks, you see it on the screen. You see his face.
So he comes barreling at me, and he's like, if your fucking bus bit is so different, then why don't you do it right after me? We'll see how it goes. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I will lay you out right here. I'm fucking 22.
Yeah,
I have
right.
no concerns in the world whatsoever.
Right.
And so Parada like stops me,
It gets
and I'm like,
between you.
fuck you. Go on the street right now. We'll solve this bus bit right here. We'll get it over with.
It's so
Are you
funny.
fucking kidding me? And I've never seen the guy since, to
Really?
be honest with you. Yeah, he was so mad at me. I would never take anybody.
And so did Billy
No.
come up to you and go, "You stole my fucking bus bit."
I honestly, my wife was like, "Are you mad?" And I was like, "Babe, I haven't done that bus bit since like 2013, so I really don't care."
It's so funny how mad comics can get. Bobcat Goldthwait told the story one time of two guys in Boston arguing over a bit. One guy marches up to another guy, goes, "All right, dude, I say E.T. looks like a turd, and then you say he looks like a piece of shit. All right, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking punch you if you say that again." And I was like, "Are you really arguing over
it.
Yeah,
uh,
E.T.
that
looking like a shit.
horrible
Yeah.
joke
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah,
both
yeah.
do?"
Right.
You know,
right.
but comics
Meanwhile,
take
Bobcat's like,
so.
God, break it up, guys. Anytime he can crowbar in an impression.
"That's right."
Yeah.
my God, I just hit another one.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
just, it was
All
like,
right, do
it
Joe
was funny.
Pesci now.
It was funny.
Yeah, well, how am I fucking funny? What am I fucking crowbarring things? Stutter and prick you.
So,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
when you finally got that chance to come back after 3 years,
Yeah.
where was it at?
So it was the connection. I reached out to Dave
Yeah.
and Corey, and I was like, "Hey guys, listen. The first time I'm back on stage, I wanted to be
I want to be
here."
in my home club.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, they were nothing but generous to
Of
me. And they were
course,
like,
yeah.
"Yep, come on down.
How
We'd
did
love
that
to
feel?
have you." It was so exhilarating.
Isn't it like a drug?
Oh my God.
Like, holy shit. How
Yeah.
did I give this up for 3 years?
Yeah, and it wasn't a great set. but
Doesn't
it was
matter.
yeah,
Doesn't matter.
It was just
It was
going
great
through it.
for
Just
you,
doing it
though.
again. It was
Yeah.
just doing it.
And like you guys said, like it took me a little while to get my legs back underneath me. And then
Scotty 2 times.
and then
Scotty 2 times just came out.
and then
Sorry.
and then COVID hit and it like slowed everything right the
Right,
fuck
right.
back down. And it was
so that was just before COVID.
yeah. So I started
Oh,
back.
That sucks.
I started back in 2018, right? And one of the first
2019,
so one of the first things I did, I went to the Connection, and then Bowden booked me, and I saw Ryan, and he said, "Hey, we're doing the Last Comic Standing contest again. You should
Why
come
don't you
out."
Join. Yeah.
So in 2013, I was in this. I made it to the finals
Mhm.
of the Last Comic Standing
Okay.
contest, right? So
Okay.
that was 2013, and that's how I got to know Ryan and his dad, and
Right.
I was working for them regularly.
Right.
Yeah, probably once every 2 months I was down there.
That's when it was at Foxwoods.
Yep,
Right.
hosting for them.
Yep.
Or just hosting, but I was a regular for
Yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
And so 2015 and then 2018, I saw him again. He's like, "Hey, we're doing the contest. Let's see what you got." So I book it, and I think subliminally I fucked it up. Like I screwed up the date, but I think it was subliminal, and I knew I wasn't ready for this because that
Right.
contest goes 5 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes,
Yeah.
15
Right.
minutes, 20. Like you quickly trim the fat, right? Like
Right.
Oh, yeah.
pretty much anybody can get through 5.
Yeah.
Most people can get through 10.
No, once you get by that second round, you got to be.
You better have the
Yeah.
material
Yeah.
to support 15 and 20
Yeah.
minutes.
And I was just back into it, and I think I knew
weren't
I
ready.
wasn't ready to. I had the material, but I wasn't ready to perform the material.
Right.
Two totally different stories,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I fucked it up, and I messed up the date, and so then I went back in 2019, did the contest again,
Yep.
and I started to make it through the rounds of the contest because it started in like November. And then this contest was slow, and then COVID hit, and he postponed it,
Yeah.
and blah, 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 blah. Long story short, I wound up working quite a bit in 19 and 20,
Yep.
as much as you could, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
Zoom shows. And
no, I
shit.
did no Zoom stuff.
Oh,
I'm not
really?
a Zoom. I'm not a Zoom
Good
comic.
Yeah, listen, I'm not a Zoom comic. I did a couple of them. but
Yeah, I
it's
just
tough.
can't do it. I had too much energy to put me on
It
a
doesn't
screen.
matter.
Yeah.
They're soul sucking anyway.
Yeah.
They are.
So 19 to 20, I wasn't doing I worked as much as I could. And then I picked back up and I made it to the finals again at the last
Yep.
comic standing
Yep.
contest. It was me, B Glow, just really good comics. And
Yeah.
it was making it to the finals where I was like, okay, I'm back. I can officially say I'm back. Cause for a really long time, it was like, okay, do I want to invite people to my first show? Because it's not
Yeah.
gonna be good, right? And then when do you start to invite people out? And now it's like, okay, so now I can headline. Like I'm 45 minutes strong and we're good, and I'm writing material and doing all this stuff. So now I feel like with everything hopefully opening back up,
You feel like you're back now.
I'm hopefully.
Fully.
But you know how you guys know how it is. It's still really hard right now to fill a calendar.
It is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But you had the material, even though you
Yeah.
stepped away for 3 years. It was a matter of just getting your stage presence back, getting your timing back.
Right. But just like everybody else that's a real comic, like I'm not sitting on that material, right? So that's why
you shouldn't. You constantly building, constantly adding.
right. And it might be a bit that I've been doing for 10 years, but like I said, like there's a new tag to it because I didn't know that this went there and blah, 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 blah. So you're always working a bit.
And we just talked about that a couple weeks ago. Is you'll have, my wife recently. She goes, "Hey, do you still do this bit?" And I'm like, "God, I haven't done that in like at least 6 or 7 years."
Right.
She goes, "That was always a great bit. You always got tons of laughs." I go, "I just started doing other stuff and you stopped doing
What
it.
happened
It
is
wasn't
you-
that it was bad.
And that's a good thing.
I just
though.
moved on because
Yeah.
I was doing other stuff."
You write new stuff, and for time, you end up cycling stuff out, and then all of a sudden, you're like, I didn't get rid of that joke because it was bad. I just got rid of that joke for time.
Right.
And let's face it, none of us are at the point where we just filmed an hour special where
Right.
we have to retire that hour.
Right.
So you start bringing stuff back, and it's like, holy shit. Like I did a gig for James Dorsey a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and it was the same thing. I was like, I haven't done this, and this. I'm gonna just do it. And I had so much fun doing it.
So let me ask you this question, because
Yeah.
this has always been like a question for me in comedy, because I hear so many guys say exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I put it on an hour special, so I have to retire it.
Yeah.
When you when a band has a hit song,
It's different.
they don't fucking retire it.
different.
Yeah, it's totally different though, because I with Louis Anderson passing
Yeah.
a month and a half ago, I'll never forget. I went to go see him and Rita Rudner at the Warwick Musical Theater,
Yeah.
and I had just started comedy. It was literally like 1989, 1990. I went to go see them. I got their autograph after, and I said to Louis, I said, "I'm such a huge fan of yours. I love your comedy. I'm a brand new stand-up comic. I've only been doing it like 6 or 8 months." And he goes, "Can I give you some advice?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Wait to get on TV as long as you can."
Right.
He goes, "Because once you get on TV, you have to retire that material." And he said, because it takes you, and I remember opening for Brett Butler at the Comedy Connection in Boston.
Yep.
And it was after she had already had her special, and then she was rebuilding with a new hour. And people were coming up to me after, and they were going, "Oh my God, we came here for her, but you were so much funnier." And I'm like, wait,
You have no idea where she is.
I've
in the
been
progression.
doing
Yeah.
this material for 15 years.
Right.
You're seeing the shit she's written in the past 6 months.
Right.
You already saw her great stuff on her
right.
special. I don't have a special.
Well, did you
so
see
don't look at it that way.
Did
know?
you see Talking Funny on HBO?
No, I didn't.
Talking Funny was Ricky Gervais, Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld, and Louis C.K. And they were talking like we're talking tonight. And they discussed that about, like, they said Louis writes an hour, works it for a year, records a special, gets rid of it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Jerry had done the same material for 20 years.
Right.
And moves on. And they discussed the differences between the two. And, Chris Rock actually said it. He goes, they'll come and see you. Like they go and they'll if they see all the stuff that they've heard you do on the album or on anything, they'll be happy.
Right.
Because they love that stuff. But they won't come see you again because they're like, well, I know what he does.
Right.
But
Well,
if they
so-
but if they buy your album,
Right.
they watch your special, and then they come see you live and they see something totally different, then they're like, oh, I want to see him next time because I don't know what he's going to do.
But you know what? That's why guys like Bob Marley are genius, because Bob told me long ago.
Yeah.
He said, here's what I do. When someone comes to see me for an hour, I do 20 minutes of new material
Right.
that they've never seen
heard.
before.
Right.
20 minutes that I did the last time I was around.
Yep.
And 20 minutes of the best of
Yep.
from
Right.
the fucking 40
But
years
isn't
that
that
I've
what a
been
band
doing
does?
it.
Isn't that what a band like?
Exactly,
My wife goes to
because
see a
the
band and
band
she's like,
wants-
"Oh, they ended with all new shit and we hated it." And it's like, yeah, but that's what they have to do.
But if the band is good, what they do is they intermingle
right
the new stuff
with the
with
old
the
stuff.
classic
But
stuff.
but also music doesn't
It's different.
require surprise or you
Right.
not knowing.
People-
Once you know a punchline, once you know a setup, like I can listen to Delirious by
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy and I'm gonna laugh, but I don't laugh as hard as I did the first time.
Yeah, but for
But you know what? Kevin Meaney said it too. Kevin Meaney said, yeah, he goes, I'll write new material, but then people will yell out, Big Pants.
right? That's
They want the greatest
Bob
hits.
Nelson.
You know why?
Bob Nelson
Nelson,
was the
too.
same way when
you
I
know
opened
why?
it.
Because they want to look at their friend and go, "Oh my god, I saw him do that bit live."
I love that. Yeah.
Right? That's
why
the
you have to mix
experience.
it.
That's why I love the idea of mixing it.
Right.
You shouldn't put it to bed.
But it depends on who you are.
But you
Right.
can
Depends on who you
But
are.
like you said, right? You can do a bit, and maybe there's a new tag to it, or
Right.
because I feel like there are bits that you have only written for a year.
See,
If I put them away,
Well, you know
I'm
what?
missing half the fucking
So
show.
you know what's funny? I did a show, speaking of the Pub on Park. The last time I did an open mic at the Pub on Park, it was years ago.
Yep.
I had some lady yell out.
used to be just called the pub then.
Right.
It was just the pub. But I had a lady yell out one night, hey, do you do the Roger Rabbit bit? I had to have her remind me
Right,
how to do it. But I did it, but it was something I did at Periwinkle's 33 years ago.
It doesn't matter. They want to see you.
They wanna
wanna
see
see
it.
us do it.
Right.
When I was
And I'll give them whatever they want.
Yeah.
when I was headlining at City Steam, I'll never forget this. I was there one weekend and it was the Saturday night show. And I went upstairs to use the bathroom before the show. Crowds in line coming downstairs because it was downstairs club. And I walked by and there was a young couple and the girl goes, "Oh man, we saw this guy last time we were here."
Oh, what a kick of the dick that is,
Right.
huh?
And I felt this pressure to
change it
I'm
up.
scrambling in my head.
What did I do
To
last
when
time I was here?
came here last time, was I doing the same exact set?
Right.
Have I changed anything?
Right.
Do I
Can
have
I pull
anything
out some
new?
older stuff that
Do I
they
have
didn't
something
see?
that I
Yeah.
that I
Right.
can change up?
Yeah.
I felt so much pressure that night
Yeah.
to create a new night for these people,
Right.
because I wanted them to go, you know what? We saw this guy twice. It was awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know-
he did some material that was the same, but he did some other material that we
Right,
hadn't
right,
seen before.
right.
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 And
Right.
and that was the first night I really did more. I'm not a big crowd work guy.
Yeah.
But that night I probably did 20 minutes of crowd work in a 50-minute set.
Right. Just to make sure that it was
Because-
fresh and yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Because I wanted to keep it as
Yep.
fresh as possible, personalize the show,
Yep. Yep.
make it a different experience for them. Because my whole time when I first got on stage, I was thinking about, I'm scanning the crowd. Where are they?
Yeah.
Where is that couple that said
Oh,
that?
yeah.
And I, because they got my head
Yeah,
that
right.
night because of that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because we've been on for a while,
Oh,
which
sorry.
is great. No, this is awesome because it was great information and it was great stories. And we really wanted to delve into
Yeah. Right.
the break that you had to take because of the ZNDB. Yeah. Do the fucking math, folks. ZNDB, back up a letter. Anyway.
Did you write that down?
I did.
and figure
I wrote
that
it
out?
down. I
He
figured
spent
that
the
shit
last
out.
20 minutes figuring out those letters.
I thought he was writing a note to you, but he's doing alphabetical
I'm
subtraction
doing-
over
I'm
there. It's
doing
fucking
fucking-
algebra.
I'm doing ciphers over here. Are you kidding? No,
if
no.
that's not
But we always-
if that's not a promotion for that whiskey, I don't know what the fuck is.
well, I suffer.
No,
I suffer
listen.
from AHBD,
Oh yeah.
adorable huggable boy
No,
disorder.
I ain't fucking hugging you. Calm down. Anyway, so we always like to ask our guests at the
Yeah.
end of the show.
Yeah. I
And
love
we
it.
talk about like ups and downs and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
we always like
Have we
to
gotten
ask.
wow moments?
No, we didn't. But do you
No,
want to
I'm
go
sorry.
2 hours?
I'm sorry.
Well, we
guys.
can
That's
have
my
him
bad.
back. All
That's
right.
my bad. That's
So
my bad.
what's
We
a
should
wow?
get a couple of quick
All right.
ones.
So we like to ask people about wow moments.
Okay.
And that is like high points in your career. Did you ever get to open for someone that was like someone that you loved or
Perform at a place you never
perform at
thought
a
you'd get
place that you were
chance to
like,
perform at.
holy shit,
Hey,
I'm
listen,
here.
guys, I listen to the show. I know what
Yeah.
I'm doing in the
All
wow
right.
moments.
All
Settle
right.
down.
All right, wow moments.
You don't have to
Give us
fucking
some wow
explain it.
moments,
All right,
motherfucker.
all right. Here's my wow moment.
Yes.
I had a
Being
set.
on the Behind the Funny podcast. We know. We know.
I like it goes, calm down. I listen to the show.
So I had a set at Comics.
Yep.
Good, long time buddy John Porch is hosting the show.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Love John Porch.
John O'Connor.
John O'Connor,
Yes.
whatever he's going
He
by.
went
He's
by
worse
John
than me with
O'Connor.
the name
I know,
changes, right?
Yeah.
So I had an unbelievable set. Like I fucking destroyed this room,
Yeah.
and you could tell as it was going on.
Is that the Foxwoods?
Yeah,
Club?
and it was
I
like
loved that.
it
club.
was like one of those nights where it was like an out of body experience.
Yeah. Mhm.
Everything was going slower, and I was like, "This is so easy, right?" You walk off stage, and you're like, "They're so fucking easy, right?"
Yeah.
So I finish my set, and I say, "Back to your host, John Porch." So Porchy comes out, shakes my hand, and he says, "Stay right here," whispers it into my ear. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And Porch goes, "Guys, one more time for Corey, let him know." And fucking people just exploded. And it was an amazing moment by an amazing person to like recognize
Yeah.
where I was in that set
Right.
and to give me a second to sort of appreciate it.
And drink it in.
And
right.
yeah, and that was a wow moment for me because I've never seen anybody else do it. And I don't, maybe Porch did it because it was me,
yeah.
but it was just like a class act moment.
Yeah.
He
When
did
we
it
talk
because
about
he respected you.
when we talk about comics that are talking when you're set and blah 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 blah, clearly Porch was paying as a
Right.
host. He was
He respected
tuned
you in
into
that
that
moment.
show,
Yeah.
and he knew what was going on, and he took a moment, and that was a big
Right.
wow moment for me that I will always remember. Just because he like grabbed me and he was like, "Stay right here," and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And that was one of my wow.
well, because
moments.
he knew that was a great moment for you and he wanted you to be able to appreciate it.
Yeah. And how smart from a comedic standpoint do you have to be
To recognize that.
recognize
Yeah.
that? Like that's just a different level of
And very selfless of him.
yeah, absolutely.
selfless.
Like
Yeah.
it just that was to me, whether it was because it was like John being selfless or the crowd and what they gave back, but it
or
was
him
just,
recognizing that crowd loved you and
Yeah.
he needed to acknowledge that before
Yeah.
he went on
yeah,
to
yeah,
do his
yeah,
set.
Yeah, so
Right.
I that to me was a real wow moment because that's a big
No,
room.
that's the
Yeah.
exact description of it.
Yeah, that's a big room. There's 400
See?
or 500 people.
That's why
in
we
room.
asked that question.
All right.
That's why we're a married couple. See,
All right.
I told you.
Great wow.
You're
There you go.
right.
That's a good wow.
You're right, honey.
Thank you. Now you want my crazy bad gig
yes,
story.
I want to hear the bad gig.
The funny bad gig
funny
story.
bad
So
gig.
my funny bad gig story
All right.
only happens because Scott Higgins took the gig. Fucking Labor
Let's
Day.
shit on Scott.
Fucking
Yes.
Labor Day.
Recently?
Yes.
Oh, is this the pool party?
Parada called this guy. And I was like, "John, I have a cookout that weekend. I can't do that show." So when
Dude,
I listened to you
You could have
tell
it
your
next
crazy
year.
bad gig story, I was like, "Thank God!"
Dude, that was fucking
He
brutal.
He stood on a chair in his living room in his fucking Celtic shirt and said, "I'm
That is the smartest decision you have ever made
He's
in
like-
comedy.
He's like, "It's 2 hours away.
Dude.
It's an outdoor party." And listen, your what do you the 10 things you know, 10 bad gig things you know are bad gigs?
Yeah, you know it's going to be
we
a
hit
bad
8
gig
of
when."
them that night.
Oh,
Yeah.
We
listen,
hit 8 of them
I
that
bet
night.
you guys are missing the biggest one. It's sunlight.
Yes, it's daytime.
Anytime
Yeah.
anybody wants to do a show and it's daylight,
Dude,
it's
yeah.
like this is going to fucking
we,
suck.
we didn't have sunlight because it was fucking raining. But they stayed in the pool anyway.
And as
They were
Christopher
wet.
Walken would say, "Fucking rain."
Fucking rain.
Yes. So thank you for taking my crazy bad
That's
gig
awesome.
story. But I would say I also did a show for Doug Key down in Newport,
Yep.
and I do a lot of crowd work. So I was doing crowd work, and this guy had red hair, beard, He was fucking hammered. And I was like, holy shit, this is what Santa does when it's not Christmas season, right? Yeah. And this guy fucking threw a Heineken at me.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
And I had no idea, right? You're on stage. You can't
You don't know
see.
what's going to happen. All of a
Right.
sudden, out of the darkness comes a Heineken
Boom.
bottle.
He's fucking hammered, right? And I don't think he was throwing it at me. Doug had a
He just
television.
wanted to throw it.
Doug had a television with your name on it, like in
Did
the
they hit
back.
the
on this-
television?
and he fucking threw it at the TV, and the fucking bottle smashed. And you want to talk about, it's a bad gig? I love you, Doug. But these people were sitting in white plastic chairs, like those lawn chairs. I'm like, I'd be fucking throwing shit too if Doug had me in that shitty chair for 2 hours.
They came out of those big plastic stamps.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So those are my stories for you guys that I've been prepping for.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
dude, I love that we're connected on that one.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
That is one that's going to go down in infamy.
I am so. I heard you tell that story, and I was like, thank God I had a fucking
I didn't
family
go.
cookout
Yeah,
for that,
right.
Dude,
because I
that
can't
was-
imagine.
I can't even describe that. It was one of those ones that you're there and you're like, I've been doing this for
Right.
19 fucking
And
years,
this is what I'm doing.
and I still can't believe that.
now, was
this
it
is
far
happening.
from you?
Is this the one with
It
Rhonda?
was in Connecticut.
Was Rhonda?
No, it was
Oh.
Brian Vincent, myself, and John Parada.
Oh, and the people were in the pool.
They were in the
Yeah.
pool. It was a heated
I've
pool,
done one of those.
raining,
Yep.
and they could give two shits that we were there.
Yep.
And was it far? Like, please tell me you didn't drive.
No, less than a half an hour.
Oh,
Like
okay.
25
Yeah,
minutes.
Yeah. See, that's
from my
not- that's
house.
not- can you imagine driving 2
4
hours
I would have been
that
pissed.
way
Right.
and then 2 hours
I would have been pissed.
back?
I'd have been pissed.
Yeah.
And it was good money. Don't get me wrong. Parada was like, "Listen, brother, I can take care of you." I'm
Yeah.
like, John, I got a
It's-
family thing.
yeah, I can't do it.
And it's fucking Labor Day, and it's like
Mhm.
4:00. Like, I know
Dude.
where this is going.
Yeah, right.
No,
We were being-
Daylight.
yeah.
we were
Labor Day.
being heckled by the 8 people in the pool. It was, and
Yeah.
it was just brutal.
Yeah.
I love when someone brings up a bad gig story that they decided not to do. And Scott did.
Yeah, right.
That's
right.
even better.
Dude,
Scott
it-
tagged in.
that's
Yeah, that
awesome.
sounds like a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Well, no,
I'll do it.
Because typical Parada, dude, it's a backyard party. They do it every year. It's a big party.
They're gonna love you,
They're
brother.
gonna love you.
They're gonna love
All right, John, I'll go. And then you get there and you're like, there's
What
8
the-
fucking people here, and
what
they're all
the
in the
fuck
pool.
did
Yeah,
I
you're
do?
missing.
Yeah.
You're missing one for Parada. They got burgers and dogs, brother.
Yeah,
you can
it's
eat. It's
awesome.
fine.
No, that would have been Murray.
Yeah.
Dude, they got hot dogs. They're not even
Mike
they're not
Murray.
even Fenway Franks. They're soggies.
Mike Murray. Every bad gig for Mike Murray is they
They
didn't
didn't even have food.
they didn't feed the comics.
Dude, there was a fucking buffet table right in front of the stage. They wouldn't even feed the comics. That's every bad gig for Mike Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I tagged out of that. I was like, nah, I can't do that.
That's
that show,
awesome.
John. Yeah.
That's
So-
awesome.
I said the guy that hired us, he's like, dude, we want to get you back next year. I said, I'm busy.
Yeah. I don't
goes-
know what date it is,
The
but
guy
I'm
goes,
done.
next year you busy? Yes, I have
The
something
entire fucking year, right?
That's awesome. Not
Yeah,
open.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation that week.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even know what week. I'm gonna be on
Yeah, yeah.
vacation.
Whatever
that
it
week.
is, I'm booked.
I'm
I'm gonna
booked.
be far away from here.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But it
Well,
made for
listen.
a great story.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad we got to finally get you back.
Yeah, it was
and you
well
know what?
worth it.
We got to get him back for one of the panel shows.
He'd be
'cause
awesome on a panel
He
show.
would be awesome on a
Oh,
panel
thanks,
show.
guys.
Every once in a
great.
while, we like pick a topic or a movie or
Bring in a few
comic,
comics. And
bring
we-
in a couple of comics just to kind of talk about. Like we did one on Steve Martin and the Jerk and all of that, and it was great. But we'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
So
That'd be good.
Great.
Yeah.
And listen, man, I mean it. As much as I hated you when you stood on that chair in that fucking Celtic shirt and screamed
He's
at
not
the
the
audience.
only guy. He's not the only guy.
Nah, you've
I-
been told
yeah,
that a few
yeah,
times.
I definitely.
Yeah,
have.
I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is this guy
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm so glad that you made it back because
Yeah.
honestly, when I talked to you, when you were going through all that shit,
Yep.
I was talking to you and I knew because I work in the corporate world. I thought that was grossly unfair for the ZNDB
He
to
looked at his
do to
notes
you.
again. Did you see?
I
him?
did. Good. You see that? The ZNDB. Figure it out, folks. Get a cipher. it was awesome to be able to hear your story, because you know what? That's what Behind the Funny is all about.
Right.
We want to hear from people about what they deal with off stage.
Right.
And you dealt with probably the worst thing that a comic could go through when a comic
Absolutely.
is working a day job.
Right.
Is that day job dictates whether or not you can do comedy, and that is grossly unfair. And I'm really glad that you were able to get out of that
Yeah.
and come back
Thanks,
to
thanks.
comedy and be back on the scene. And it's only going to get better
No,
now.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I was happy when you left because I always hated following you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another wow moment. Whenever you
right?
hear a guy like Scott, Mike Murray said it to me recently.
Dude,
He's
you
like,
were always tough to follow.
No,
I
you were tough to
fucking
follow because
hate
you're
you.
so high energy.
No,
you know?
exactly, because you would step on stage, you would command the crowd.
Right.
wait, I'm not dead. It's not my eulogy. Don't
No,
say
no,
you
no.
would.
Wait
Jesus.
till he's dead, man.
You would just
I
take
do, I
over
do. Say
that
I do.
entire audience,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh fuck, I gotta follow this, and so now I gotta bring my energy level up to try to match that,
Yeah.
to be able to keep that audience there, and I don't think I can do it in the same level that you did.
Thank you. That's
So it
nice.
was
That's
always
nice
very,
of you.
very
Yeah.
difficult, but I think it made me, and I know it made other comics better because
Right.
we
We had
had
to work for it.
we had
Right.
to work harder following
Because
you, and
as
we-
you get
and we're still going to have to now that you're back.
Yeah, right, right.
You
well,
know,
because as we get more, as you get to be a comic that gets the headline and stuff like that, you need to up your game. And
Right.
it's always good
Right.
when you have a feature act that makes you up your game.
I don't
know?
I won't mind as much now because I've been doing it long enough that it's like I like the challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas back then it was like, oh no,
It was-
I
it
don't
was
wanna have to
daunting.
do
I
that.
just had a comic that I was working with at the Connection, and he said to me, I was featuring for him, and he was like, "Holy fuck, I have to come hard every
Exactly.
single time."
Right.
Exactly.
That's what you want.
And he said to
Because
me,
that's what's gonna get you moved up.
but this is what he said to me. He was like, for some comics, that's super intimidating, and
Yeah.
I can see how they would not want to work with you.
Right.
Yes.
But for me, I love the challenge, and so good for you. Like, keep
Right.
doing it.
Yeah.
So another like sort of wow moment for me that I've had several headliners really since COVID started opening back up
Yeah.
that have said to me like, I don't want to fucking go after you.
Right.
You know, that's a
But that's
huge
how you get
compliment.
moved up.
Yeah, that's a huge
Exactly.
compliment.
I remember getting moved up from a feature to a headliner, and it was because the headliners were going,
well, that's because
I don't want to follow. We definitely want to have you back. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
It was awesome catching up with you. Anything we can promote for you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Website?
And I actually have a podcast.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, what is it?
It's called Ready Set Disney.
That's right. I saw that on your page today.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with comedy.
Yep.
Obviously, I bring a little bit of comedy into it, but my
Yep.
wife is a big Disney person, and so she likes to help people plan and get ready for their Disney trips.
Oh, very cool.
So I started putting a voice to all of the stuff that she
Yeah.
does behind the scenes.
That's awesome.
So if anybody wants to check it out, Ready Set Disney is the name of the podcast. You can get it on Google and Apple. And so yeah,
I'll put a link to the podcast in the show
Great.
notes.
I'm cool.
So look in the show notes and you can find the link to the podcast there. I'll put a link to. Do you have a Facebook page?
I do just Corey G.
Okay.
G-E-E.
I'll
Yeah.
put the link to that in there as well, so you can follow Corey, see where he's going to perform. If you like very funny comedy and high energy, Corey is definitely the guy for you to check out. So,
Absolutely.
this was a really fun episode.
no,
and thank you
thanks.
for
A lot of
sharing with
fun.
us tonight. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
Ace, anything coming up?
So next week we have Steve Halligan from Western Mass. On the 16th, we have Eric Hoffer, former owner of the Comedy Connection, who is out in he's actually out in Hawaii. And he's running a comedy club out there. On the 23rd, we have the very lovely Carolyn Fox.
Ace has been working on that one for a while.
Listen, if you are from Rhode Island and you know it, 94 HJY, she was the original. I hate to use the term shock jock, but she was.
Yeah, she kind of
she honestly
set that mold before it became a thing with guys like Howard Stern and Opie
Yeah.
and Anthony.
She
was
easily-
doing it as long as all of them.
Exactly. She easily could have been syndicated just as much as they
Yeah.
were. And then on the 30th, we've got Steve Bjork coming back, or as Mike Murray would say, Steve Bjork. We've got him coming back. You'll remember him from season 2 We had a great interview, but unfortunately,
You
we had
could kind of hear.
we had some sound issues. So we're gonna have Steve come down and actually hang with us.
Yeah, we got a
on
great
that
year
night.
going this year in
Oh, it's
2022. And again, you guys, as usual, are just awesome. So thank you for tuning in. If you've watched us live tonight, if you
Yes.
haven't watched us live, you can tune in every Wednesday night, 8:30 on Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling on Twitch TV, or just follow us on Facebook at Behind the Funny, and you can find out when we're going live there. And of course, every Thursday we come out on all of the podcast platforms. And you know what? If you want to help out the podcast, the best way to do so, wherever you download your podcast, give us a 5-star written review. 1 sentence, 2 sentence, few words. Just say, hey,
love these guys.
love these guys.
Love hanging out, drinking bourbon with them, whatever it is.
You know, we got a great one last week. Somebody said that, I love the feel of the podcast. It's like a couple of guys sitting on a porch, enjoying a fine bourbon, talking about comedy. And that's exactly what we want this podcast to be.
Yeah.
So that was a great review, and we appreciate the person that gave us that one. So if you guys can take the time to do that, we greatly appreciate it.
And other than that, we will see you
Next week.